Most people are alive physically, but mentally they are trapped somewhere else. They are worrying about tomorrow, stressing about things they cannot control, and overthinking problems that may never even happen. Their mind never rests. Even during peaceful moments, anxiety keeps stealing their happiness. Buddhism teaches that the human mind creates suffering when it becomes addicted to fear, control, and uncertainty. The sad truth is that many people spend their whole life preparing for problems instead of actually living. But life is short. One day, this life will end, and you will not wish you spent more time worrying. You will wish you appreciated more moments, more peace, and more time truly feeling alive. In this video, you will discover 7 powerful Buddhist lessons that will help you let go of anxiety, stop mentally exhausting yourself, and finally experience the peace your soul has been searching for. 1. Most anxiety comes from imaginary problems. One of the biggest reasons people suffer is because they live inside problems that do not even exist yet. The mind constantly creates fearful stories about the future. What if I fail? What if something goes wrong? What if people reject me? What if I lose everything? And before anything even happens, the body already feels stressed, heavy, and emotionally exhausted. Buddhism teaches that the mind creates suffering when it becomes attached to fear and uncertainty. Most people are not suffering from reality itself. They are suffering from their imagination. They mentally create painful situations over and over again until anxiety becomes their normal state. Many people spend hours worrying about things they cannot control. They replay the same fears in their head every day until even small situations start feeling dangerous. The mind keeps preparing for pain that may never even arrive. Because of this, people lose their peace, their sleep, and their ability to enjoy the present moment. Anxiety slowly steals the joy from life when the mind becomes trapped in endless what-if thinking. Think about how many things you once worried about that never actually happened. How many nights you destroyed your peace over situations that later became meaningless. The anxious mind always believes every thought deserves attention, but not every thought is truth. Not every fear deserves your energy. Sometimes the mind creates storms that reality never brings. Life becomes lighter when you stop carrying imaginary pain before it even arrives. 2. Life quietly disappears while you are busy worrying. Many people spend most of their lives waiting for the right time to finally feel happy. They tell themselves they will relax after success, after money, after solving every problem, or after life becomes easier. But Buddhism teaches that life is temporary, and time never stops moving. Every day you spend trapped in anxiety is a day you can never get back. While the mind stays busy worrying about tomorrow, life quietly passes by in the background. People miss beautiful moments because their thoughts are always somewhere else. They cannot enjoy a peaceful morning because they are stressed about the future. They cannot enjoy time with loved ones because their mind is full of fear and pressure. Anxiety steals simple happiness from everyday life. The sad truth is that many people realize how precious life was only after years of overthinking and emotional exhaustion. Buddhism teaches that peace only exists in the present moment. The future is uncertain, and the past is already gone. But many people destroy today by worrying about things that may never even happen. Think about how many peaceful moments anxiety has already stolen from you. How many memories you could have enjoyed more if your mind was calm instead of constantly stressed. One day life will end, and you will not wish you spent more time worrying. You will wish you appreciated more moments, smiled more, loved more, and truly lived. Life becomes more beautiful when you stop mentally living in fear and finally allow yourself to enjoy the moment you are already inside. 3. You cannot control everything. One of the deepest roots of anxiety is the obsession with control. People want certainty about everything in life. They want guaranteed success, guaranteed relationships, guaranteed safety, and guaranteed outcomes. They constantly try to predict the future so they can avoid pain, disappointment, or failure. But Buddhism teaches that suffering grows the moment you try to control what was never fully yours to control. Life has always been uncertain, and no amount of overthinking can change that reality. Many people exhaust themselves mentally because they are always trying to make life happen exactly the way they want. They overanalyze every conversation, panic over small changes, and constantly worry about things going wrong. If someone acts differently, they immediately fear losing them. If life becomes difficult, they assume everything is falling apart. Their mind never rests because it is always trying to control situations, people, and future outcomes that cannot be perfectly controlled. The painful truth is that life will never give you complete certainty. People change, situations change, plans fail, unexpected problems appear. Sometimes things work out exactly the way you hoped, and sometimes they do not. This is simply part of being alive. But anxious people mentally fight this reality every single day. They believe that if they worry enough, think enough, or prepare enough, they can stop life from becoming painful. But overthinking does not control life. It only steals peace from the present moment. Buddhism teaches that peace begins when you stop demanding complete control from life. You do not need to know everything that will happen tomorrow to feel calm today. You do not need guarantees about the future to enjoy the present moment. The calmer mind understands that uncertainty is part of life, not proof that something is wrong. Think about how many times life surprised you in ways you never expected. Some of the things you feared never happened. Some painful moments eventually made you stronger. Some situations that once looked like disasters later became important lessons. Life has always been unpredictable, and when you stop mentally fighting that truth, anxiety slowly loses its power over you. Real peace comes from trusting yourself instead of trying to control everything around you. You may not control every situation, but you can control your response. You can choose patience instead of panic. You can choose acceptance instead of resistance. You can choose calmness instead of constantly preparing for the worst. The anxious mind keeps asking, what if everything goes wrong? But the peaceful mind says, I will handle whatever comes. That is true emotional strength. Not controlling life, but learning how to face life without constantly living in fear. 4. Your mind becomes what you feed it. The human mind works like a garden. Whatever you feed every single day slowly becomes stronger. If you constantly feed your mind fear, negativity, comparison, stress, and overthinking, anxiety will naturally grow inside you. But if you feed your mind peace, awareness, gratitude, calmness, and healthy thoughts, your inner world slowly becomes lighter and more peaceful. Buddhism teaches that the quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of your mind. A chaotic mind creates a chaotic life. A peaceful mind creates a peaceful life. Many people unknowingly train their minds to become anxious every day. From the moment they wake up, they immediately fill their mind with stress. They constantly consume negativity online. They compare their life to other people. They replay painful memories again and again. They overfocus on problems instead of solutions. Even during peaceful moments, their mind keeps searching for something to worry about. Because of this, their nervous system never truly rests. Their body becomes tired, but their thoughts never slow down. The mind becomes dangerous when it is constantly overstimulated. Too much noise, too much fear, too much pressure, and too much mental clutter slowly destroy inner peace. Many people do not realize that anxiety is not only created by major problems. Sometimes anxiety is created by small unhealthy habits repeated every single day. Constantly thinking negatively, constantly expecting the worst, constantly focusing on what is missing in life, instead of appreciating what already exists. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because awareness interrupts mental chaos. The moment you become aware of what you are feeding your mind daily, you begin taking back control over your emotional state. You start noticing how certain environments drain your peace. You notice how certain people increase your stress. You notice how overthinking creates emotional exhaustion, even when nothing bad is happening. Most people try to fix anxiety while continuing the same unhealthy mental habits that created it. But peace requires change. You cannot constantly feed your mind negativity and expect your life to feel calm. You cannot spend every day comparing yourself to others and still feel enough inside. You cannot fill your mind with fear every hour and expect your heart to feel peaceful. Sometimes peace is not created by adding more things into your life. Sometimes peace comes from removing what keeps poisoning your mind. Less drama, less noise, less comparison, less unnecessary arguments, less mentally replaying painful situations, less attention to things that destroy your emotional energy. Protecting your peace is one of the most important forms of self-respect. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves space inside your mind. Not every negative thought deserves your attention. The peaceful mind learns how to let certain thoughts pass without emotionally attaching to them. Think about how different your life feels when your mind is calm. Small problems stop feeling overwhelming. You become more patient. You sleep better. You enjoy simple moments more deeply. Your emotions stop controlling your entire day. This is why Buddhism places so much importance on awareness and inner discipline. Because your outer life will always reflect your inner world. The more carefully you feed your mind, the more peaceful your life becomes. When you start choosing healthier thoughts, healthier environments, healthier habits, and healthier emotional patterns, anxiety slowly loses its control over you. Inner peace is not something people accidentally find. It is something they create by becoming more conscious about what they allow inside their mind every single day. 5. Small problems become big suffering inside the mind. Many people are not emotionally destroyed by huge problems. They are destroyed by the way their mind reacts to small problems every single day. A small inconvenience ruins their mood for hours. One criticism stays inside their head for weeks. One mistake makes them feel like their entire life is falling apart. Buddhism teaches that pain is a natural part of life. But mental suffering becomes much worse when the mind exaggerates reality and emotionally resists every difficulty. The anxious mind has a habit of turning small situations into emotional disasters. Something minor happens, and immediately the mind starts creating negative stories. A delayed message becomes rejection. A small failure becomes proof of worthlessness. One stressful day becomes my whole life is terrible. Instead of seeing problems clearly, the anxious mind magnifies them until they feel impossible to handle. Many people suffer more from their thoughts about the problem than the actual problem itself. The mind keeps replaying situations over and over again. It imagines worst-case scenarios. It creates fear about the future before anything bad has even happened. Because of this, people stay emotionally exhausted even during moments when life is actually calm. Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering comes from mental attachment and resistance. People mentally fight every uncomfortable experience, instead of calmly accepting that difficulties are part of life. They expect life to always feel smooth, easy, and predictable. But when reality becomes uncomfortable, they panic emotionally instead of responding with awareness and patience. Think about how often small situations steal your peace. Someone says something negative, and your mind carries it all day. A small mistake happens, and you mentally punish yourself for hours. A temporary problem appears, and suddenly your mind starts imagining a terrible future. Most people do not realize how much unnecessary suffering they create inside their own mind every day. The truth is that not every problem deserves a dramatic emotional reaction. Some situations simply need patience. Some problems need time. Some moments need calm thinking instead of panic. Peaceful people are not people without problems. They are people who stop mentally making every difficulty bigger than it really is. The calmer your mind becomes, the easier life feels, because when the mind is peaceful, problems stay in their true size. But when the mind is anxious, even small difficulties start feeling overwhelming. Anxiety makes everything feel heavier than it actually is. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps you pause before reacting emotionally. Instead of immediately believing every fearful thought, you learn to observe your mind calmly. You begin asking yourself, is this problem really as serious as my mind is making it appear? Many times the answer is no. A peaceful life begins when you stop emotionally feeding every small problem. Learn to breathe before reacting. Learn to slow down before assuming the worst. Learn to separate reality from the fearful stories your mind creates. Life becomes much lighter when you stop turning temporary discomfort into permanent emotional suffering. Most problems pass with time, but many people continue suffering because they keep replaying those problems mentally long after the moment is over. The mind keeps reopening wounds that life was already trying to heal. This is why inner peace requires learning how to let situations go instead of carrying them forever inside your thoughts. The more emotionally calm you become, the more clearly you see life. Small problems stop controlling your entire mood. Difficult moments stop feeling like the end of the world. And slowly, you realize that peace is not created by having a perfect life. Peace is created by having a mind that no longer turns every small difficulty into endless suffering. 6. Happiness exists in simple moments. Anxiety constantly convinces people that happiness exists somewhere far away. The mind says, I will finally feel peaceful after I become successful. I will relax after I solve every problem. I will enjoy life after everything becomes perfect. Because of this way of thinking, many people spend their entire lives chasing peace without ever truly experiencing it. Buddhism teaches a completely different truth. Happiness is not hiding somewhere in the future. Happiness often exists inside the simple moments people ignore every single day. Most people are so mentally distracted that they no longer know how to experience life properly. Their body is present, but their mind is somewhere else. They are eating while worrying, walking while overthinking, spending time with loved ones while mentally replaying problems in their head. Even during peaceful moments, the mind keeps searching for stress. Because of this, people slowly lose the ability to enjoy the ordinary beauty of life. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because peace can only be experienced in the present moment. Anxiety always pulls the mind away from what is happening right now. It drags people into imaginary futures filled with fear and uncertainty. But life is not happening tomorrow. Life is happening now. And the more disconnected people become from the present moment, the emptier life starts to feel. Think about how many simple moments you have already missed because your mind was trapped in worry. Maybe someone was trying to love you while you were too anxious to notice it. Maybe life gave you peaceful moments, but your mind was too busy chasing problems to appreciate them. Maybe you were standing in the middle of beautiful experiences while your thoughts were completely somewhere else. One of the saddest truths about life is that people often realize how precious simple moments were only after they are gone. A quiet conversation with family, sitting peacefully beside someone you love, laughing with friends, watching the rain, drinking tea in silence, looking at the sky during sunset, walking outside during a calm morning. These moments seem ordinary while they are happening, but later they become memories people wish they appreciated more deeply. The anxious mind constantly overlooks these moments because it believes happiness must be something dramatic, big, and difficult to achieve. Society teaches people to constantly chase more money, more success, more validation, and more achievement. And while there is nothing wrong with growth and ambition, many people accidentally sacrifice their peace while chasing things they believe will finally make them happy. But Buddhism teaches that happiness is not created by endlessly chasing external things. Happiness is deeply connected to awareness. A calm mind notices beauty more easily. A peaceful heart appreciates small moments more deeply. When your mind slows down, life starts feeling richer, even without changing your external circumstances. Many people believe their anxiety comes from life itself, but often their anxiety comes from never allowing themselves to fully experience the present moment. Their mind is always rushing toward the future. They constantly feel pressure to solve everything immediately. They feel guilty when they rest. They feel uncomfortable in silence. Because of this, they lose touch with the simple peace available around them every day. Modern life trains people to stay mentally overstimulated, constant noise, constant information, constant comparison, constant pressure. People rarely sit quietly anymore. They rarely allow their mind to slow down naturally. Even when life becomes peaceful, the anxious mind still feels uncomfortable because it has become addicted to mental chaos. Buddhism teaches that peace grows through simplicity. Not every moment needs entertainment. Not every second needs productivity. Sometimes true happiness appears when the mind becomes quiet enough to notice life again. A peaceful morning can heal the mind more than endless overthinking. A simple walk in nature can calm emotions more than constantly searching for answers online. A genuine conversation can feel more meaningful than endless distractions. But anxious people often miss these experiences because their mind keeps telling them something else is more important. The truth is that life is made of small moments. Your entire life is not one giant dramatic event. It is built from ordinary days, ordinary conversations, ordinary mornings, ordinary evenings, and ordinary experiences. If you cannot appreciate simple moments, you will struggle to appreciate life itself. Many people postpone happiness because they believe they need perfect conditions before they can relax. They tell themselves they will enjoy life later, after success, after money, after healing, after everything becomes stable. But life does not wait for perfect timing. Time keeps moving forward whether you are appreciating your life or not. Buddhism constantly reminds people about impermanence because everything eventually disappears. The people you love will not be here forever. Your current season of life will not last forever. Your youth will not last forever. Even your daily routines that feel normal today will one day become memories. This is why awareness matters so much. Because when you truly understand that life is temporary, small moments stop feeling small. Suddenly, sitting beside your parents feels important. Suddenly, hearing someone laugh feels meaningful. Suddenly, ordinary peaceful moments feel valuable because you realize they will not last forever. Anxiety steals this awareness from people. It traps the mind in endless fear and mental distraction. It keeps people emotionally absent from their own life. They are physically alive, but mentally disconnected from the present moment almost all the time. This is why many people reach later stages of life filled with regret, not because they lacked success, but because they failed to truly experience the life they already had. They spent too many years stressed, rushing, worrying, and mentally exhausted. They forgot to slow down long enough to feel alive. Buddhism teaches gratitude, because gratitude brings the mind back to reality. Anxiety focuses on what is missing. Gratitude notices what already exists. Anxiety keeps saying, "I need more before I can feel happy." Gratitude says, there is already beauty in this moment. The more grateful you become, the calmer your mind becomes. Gratitude interrupts overthinking, because it shifts your attention away from fear and toward appreciation. Even during difficult seasons, there are still small moments worth noticing. A peaceful breath, a kind conversation, a quiet night, a moment of rest after exhaustion. These things matter more than people realize. The mind becomes lighter when you stop treating happiness like a destination that only exists somewhere in the future. Happiness often exists in the simple moments you keep walking past every day. Many people are waiting for life to finally begin, while life is already happening right now. They are so focused on becoming happy someday that they never allow themselves to experience happiness today. But Buddhism teaches that peace is not found by constantly chasing more. Peace begins when you fully arrive inside the present moment. Think about how different life feels during moments when your mind becomes truly calm. Food tastes better. Conversations feel deeper. Nature looks more beautiful. Music feels more emotional. Even silence feels comforting instead of uncomfortable. This happens because peace sharpens your awareness of life itself. The anxious mind rushes through life without fully experiencing it. But the peaceful mind slows down enough to notice beauty hidden inside ordinary moments. You do not need a perfect life to experience happiness. You do not need endless success, constant excitement, or a future without problems. Sometimes happiness is simply a quiet mind, sitting peacefully inside the moment it is already living. Life becomes more beautiful when you stop mentally escaping every moment and finally allow yourself to fully experience it. The more present you become, the more alive you feel. The more alive you feel, the less control anxiety has over your mind. One day, many of the moments you are living right now will become memories. The ordinary days you barely notice today may become the moments you miss the most later. This is why slowing down matters. This is why awareness matters. This is why protecting your peace matters. Because happiness has never been hiding somewhere far away. It has always been quietly waiting inside the simple moments you were too distracted to notice. 7. Enjoy your life before it ends. One day, your life will end. Buddhism teaches this truth not to create fear, but to wake people up from unconscious living. Most people avoid thinking about death because it feels uncomfortable. They act as if they have endless time, endless chances, endless opportunities to finally become happy later. So they spend most of their life trapped in stress, anxiety, pressure, and overthinking, believing there will always be more time to enjoy life someday. But the painful truth is that life moves much faster than people realize. Every year disappears quietly. One day you suddenly notice your childhood is gone. Certain people are gone. Old memories are gone. Entire seasons of your life disappeared while your mind was busy worrying about problems that no longer even matter. Buddhism teaches impermanence because humans easily forget how temporary everything truly is. Nothing stays forever. Not your youth, not your possessions, not your current situation, not even the people you deeply love. But instead of allowing this truth to make you hopeless, Buddhism teaches that it should make you more awake, more grateful, and more present. Because when you truly understand that life is temporary, you stop wasting so much energy on unnecessary suffering. You stop treating small problems like the end of the world. You stop allowing anxiety to steal every peaceful moment from your life. Many people are physically alive, but mentally absent almost every single day. Their mind is always somewhere else. They are constantly worrying about tomorrow, replaying old mistakes, stressing about the future, comparing themselves to others, or mentally fighting reality. Because of this, they never fully experience the life happening right in front of them. Think about how many beautiful moments anxiety has already stolen from people. A family dinner ruined by stress. A peaceful vacation destroyed by overthinking. A happy moment interrupted by fear about the future. People wait so long for happiness that they completely miss the life they are already living. The anxious mind keeps saying, "I will finally relax later. I will enjoy life after success. I will feel peace after solving every problem." But problems never completely disappear from human life. There will always be uncertainty, always responsibilities, always challenges. If you keep postponing happiness until life becomes perfect, you may spend your entire life waiting. Buddhism teaches that peace is not found after all suffering disappears. Peace begins when you stop mentally resisting life every moment. The truth is that life was never meant to feel perfect all the time. Some days will feel heavy. Some seasons will feel painful. Some moments will confuse you. But even inside imperfect lives, peace is still possible. Many people become so focused on surviving that they forget how to live. They wake up stressed, rush through the day mentally exhausted, stay trapped in endless thoughts at night, then repeat the same cycle again and again until years quietly disappear. One day they suddenly realize they spent most of their life worrying instead of truly experiencing it. Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing anxiety stole most of your memories. Imagine realizing you spent decades mentally preparing for problems instead of appreciating the moments that actually mattered. You were constantly distracted while life quietly passed by in the background. This is why Buddhism constantly reminds people to wake up. Because most people are sleepwalking through life emotionally disconnected from the present moment. They are alive, but they are not truly experiencing being alive. Life is much shorter than the anxious mind believes. The people around you will not always be here. Your parents will grow older. Your children will grow older. Your current season of life will eventually disappear. The moments you think are ordinary today may later become memories you deeply miss. But anxiety prevents people from appreciating these moments while they still exist. The anxious mind constantly focuses on what could go wrong instead of appreciating what is already here. It keeps searching for future problems while ignoring present blessings. People become so mentally distracted that they stop noticing simple beauty. A peaceful morning, a conversation with someone they love, a quiet walk, the sound of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the calmness of silence. These moments seem small until life changes and they are suddenly gone forever. Buddhism teaches awareness, because awareness reconnects people to life itself. When your mind becomes calmer, ordinary moments stop feeling ordinary. You begin noticing how precious simple experiences really are. You begin understanding that happiness was never hiding somewhere far away. It was hidden inside moments your anxious mind kept overlooking. Many people chase success believing it will finally bring them peace. And while success can improve parts of life, External achievements alone cannot heal an anxious mind. If someone cannot appreciate simple moments now, they will struggle to appreciate life even after achieving more. Because anxiety is not always caused by lacking something externally. Often anxiety is caused by a mind that has forgotten how to rest inside the present moment. The modern world constantly trains people to stay mentally restless. People are always distracted, overstimulated, comparing themselves, chasing validation, and worrying about the future. Their mind rarely experiences silence anymore. Even during moments of rest, the anxious mind keeps searching for problems. Because of this, many people no longer know how to simply sit peacefully without feeling uncomfortable. They have become emotionally addicted to stress and mental noise. When life slows down, the anxious mind immediately creates new worries to stay occupied. Buddhism teaches that true freedom begins when you stop allowing your thoughts to completely control your emotional state. Not every fear deserves your attention. Not every problem deserves panic. Not every uncomfortable situation means your life is falling apart. One of the biggest tragedies in life is realizing too late that most of the things you worried about were never worth sacrificing your peace for. Think about all the nights people lose sleep over situations that later become meaningless. Think about how much emotional suffering comes from imaginary futures that never even happen. The mind keeps creating unnecessary suffering because it believes constant worry provides safety. But anxiety does not protect life. It only steals the ability to enjoy it. There are people who have everything they once prayed for, yet they still cannot feel peaceful because their mind never slows down. And there are people with very simple lives who still feel deeply alive because they know how to appreciate small moments without constantly mentally escaping them. This is why Buddhism places so much importance on mindfulness and awareness, because peace is deeply connected to presence. The more present you become, the less control anxiety has over your life. Many people keep waiting for some future moment where they will finally allow themselves to feel calm. But peace does not suddenly appear one day by accident. Peace is created through awareness, through acceptance, through learning how to stop mentally fighting every uncomfortable part of life. Life becomes much lighter when you stop treating every problem like a catastrophe. Most things people worry about today will not matter years from now. Many fears disappear with time. Many painful situations eventually pass. But anxious people keep emotionally carrying temporary problems long after the moment is over. The truth is that no human life is completely free from pain. Everyone experiences loss, disappointment, uncertainty, failure, and change. Buddhism never promises a life without difficulty. Instead, it teaches people how to stop adding unnecessary mental suffering to natural human experiences. A peaceful life is not built by controlling everything. It is built by learning how to remain calm even when life feels uncertain. Many people spend years trying to control the future because they are afraid of pain. But no amount of overthinking can fully protect you from life. Pain is part of being human. Loss is part of being human. Change is part of being human. And when you finally accept these truths instead of constantly resisting them, your mind slowly becomes calmer. One day your current worries will disappear. One day the stressful situations consuming your mind today will become distant memories. One day even this current version of your life will no longer exist. So why spend your limited time mentally drowning in fear every single day? You deserve moments of peace while you are still alive. You deserve to laugh without guilt. You deserve to enjoy ordinary days without constantly preparing for disaster. You deserve to rest without feeling like you must always be mentally productive. Many people think slowing down means becoming weak or lazy, but Buddhism teaches that slowing down allows you to reconnect with reality. When the mind constantly rushes, it loses touch with life itself. But when the mind becomes calm, even simple moments begin feeling meaningful again. Imagine how different your life would feel if anxiety stopped controlling every day. Imagine waking up without immediately feeling pressure and fear. Imagine enjoying conversations without mentally overthinking everything afterward. Imagine sitting peacefully without your mind constantly creating problems. Imagine experiencing life directly instead of always viewing it through fear. This is possible when you stop feeding anxiety every moment and start protecting your inner peace more seriously. Protect your time because life is short. Protect your mind because anxiety can steal years from your life without you noticing. Protect your peace because a calm mind allows you to truly experience being alive. One day, the people around you will become memories. One day, your current struggles will disappear. One day, this chapter of your life will end forever. And when that day comes, you will not wish you spent more time worrying. You will wish you spent more time living. You will wish you appreciated ordinary mornings more deeply. You will wish you smiled more, rested more, loved more, laughed more. You will wish you stopped mentally turning every problem into endless suffering. The real tragedy is not that life is short. The real tragedy is spending your short life emotionally trapped inside fear while life quietly passes by. So stop waiting for perfect conditions before allowing yourself to feel alive. Stop postponing peace until some future version of life finally arrives. Stop allowing anxiety to steal every beautiful moment from you. Enjoy simple moments while they still exist. Spend time with people who calm your soul. Slow down enough to notice life happening around you. Watch sunsets without rushing. Sit in silence without fear. Appreciate ordinary days before they disappear. Because one day, your entire life will become memories. And maybe true wisdom is realizing that peace was never hiding somewhere in the future. Peace begins the moment you stop mentally fighting life and finally allow yourself to fully live it before it ends. 8. Stop mentally fighting every problem. One of the biggest reasons people feel emotionally exhausted is because they are constantly mentally fighting life. Every small inconvenience becomes resistance. Every uncomfortable emotion becomes something they try to escape immediately. Every difficult situation becomes a battle inside the mind. Buddhism teaches that suffering becomes heavier when people refuse to accept the reality of the present moment. The more you mentally fight life, the more drained, anxious, and emotionally overwhelmed you become. Many people believe peace comes from controlling every situation and avoiding every uncomfortable feeling. But life does not work that way. Pain, uncertainty, mistakes, rejection, disappointment, and change are all natural parts of being human. No one escapes difficulty forever. Yet the anxious mind keeps demanding a perfect life. It says, "This should not be happening. Life must go exactly the way I planned. I cannot feel peaceful until every problem disappears." Because of this mindset, people stay trapped in endless emotional resistance. Think about how much energy people waste fighting situations they cannot immediately change. They replay arguments in their mind for hours. They obsess over things they cannot control. They resist reality instead of calmly accepting what already happened. And while they mentally fight life, their inner peace slowly disappears. Buddhism teaches that acceptance does not mean giving up. Acceptance means seeing reality clearly without adding unnecessary emotional suffering to it. It means understanding that life will sometimes feel difficult, uncertain, or painful, and learning how to remain calm instead of emotionally collapsing every time something goes wrong. The anxious mind believes every problem must be solved immediately, but not every problem needs panic. Some situations simply need patience. Some situations need time. Some situations need emotional maturity instead of overreaction. The peaceful mind understands this. It knows that constantly resisting life only creates more suffering. Many people do not realize that their mind has become addicted to struggle. Even during calm moments, they keep searching for something to worry about. If life becomes peaceful, the mind creates new fears. If one problem disappears, another one immediately takes its place. This happens because the anxious mind becomes conditioned to believe stress is normal. Modern life makes this even worse. People are constantly overstimulated. Constant notifications, constant comparison, constant bad news, constant pressure to achieve more. Their nervous system rarely gets true rest anymore. Even when they are physically resting, their mind keeps running endlessly in the background. Because of this, many people no longer know how to simply exist peacefully without mentally fighting something. Silence feels uncomfortable. Rest feels unproductive. Calmness feels unfamiliar. The mind becomes so used to chaos that peace almost feels unnatural. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness interrupts this cycle. The moment you become aware of your thoughts, you begin realizing how much unnecessary suffering your mind creates every day. You begin noticing how often you mentally exaggerate situations. You begin seeing how many fears are created by imagination rather than reality. Most people suffer twice. First from the actual problem, and second from the stories their mind creates around the problem. A mistake happens, and the mind says, "My life is ruined." Someone rejects them, and the mind says, "I will never be loved." A difficult season appears, and the mind immediately imagines a terrible future. The suffering becomes much larger than the actual situation itself. But Buddhism teaches that thoughts are not always truth. Just because the mind creates fearful stories does not mean those stories reflect reality. The peaceful person learns how to observe thoughts without emotionally drowning inside them. Think about how many times your mind convinced you something would completely destroy you, yet later you survived it. Think about how many situations once felt unbearable, but eventually passed with time. Human beings are often stronger than their anxious mind allows them to believe. The problem is that anxiety constantly focuses on future pain instead of present reality. It pulls people away from what is actually happening and traps them inside imaginary disasters. The body may be safe in the present moment, but the mind keeps living inside fearful futures that do not even exist yet. This is why Buddhism teaches the importance of returning to the present moment. Because right now, in this exact moment, many of the fears inside your mind are not actually happening. The suffering exists mostly inside thought, but people continue exhausting themselves emotionally by mentally fighting futures that have not arrived. Life becomes much lighter when you stop trying to emotionally control every outcome. You cannot fully control life, people, or the future, but you can control how you respond internally. You can choose awareness instead of panic. You can choose patience instead of emotional chaos. You can choose calmness even when life feels uncertain. Many people believe peace comes after problems disappear, but Buddhism teaches that peace comes from changing your relationship with problems themselves. Problems are part of life. Uncertainty is part of life. Change is part of life. The more you accept this truth, the calmer your mind becomes. The anxious mind constantly asks, "How do I make life stop being difficult?" But the peaceful mind asks, how do I stop making difficulty heavier through mental resistance? That question changes everything. Because often the real suffering is not the situation itself. The real suffering is the endless mental fighting happening inside the mind, fighting reality, fighting uncertainty, fighting uncomfortable emotions, fighting change, fighting imperfection. But life was never meant to be controlled perfectly. Life moves naturally. Seasons change naturally. People change naturally. Emotions rise and fall naturally. The more you try to force life into perfect certainty, the more emotionally exhausted you become. Buddhism teaches flow instead of constant resistance. This does not mean becoming passive or weak. It means understanding that peace sometimes comes from letting go, instead of endlessly forcing, controlling, and overthinking everything. Imagine how different your life would feel if you stopped mentally carrying every problem all day long. Imagine waking up without immediately feeding anxiety. Imagine facing difficult moments calmly, instead of emotionally collapsing every time life becomes uncertain. Most problems become heavier because the mind keeps holding on to them long after the moment is over. The situation ends, but the mind continues replaying it for days, weeks, or even years. People reopen emotional wounds repeatedly through overthinking. They relive painful situations again and again until suffering becomes part of their identity. But healing begins when you stop feeding the problem mentally every moment. Healing begins when you stop emotionally attaching yourself to every painful thought. Healing begins when you learn how to let situations pass without carrying them forever inside your mind. The peaceful person is not someone who never experiences difficulty. The peaceful person is someone who no longer allows every difficulty to destroy their inner world. Life becomes easier when you stop treating every uncomfortable moment like an emergency. Some days will feel heavy, some seasons will feel uncertain, some emotions will feel painful, but no feeling lasts forever. No difficult season stays forever. Everything eventually changes. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism, impermanence. Every emotion changes, every situation changes, every painful moment eventually passes. The anxious mind forgets this and acts as if current suffering will last forever. But life is always moving, always changing, always shifting. Many of the things hurting you today may one day become lessons that made you wiser, calmer, and stronger. Many situations that once looked terrible may later reveal hidden meaning. Life often makes sense only after time passes. This is why patience is so important. Not every answer arrives immediately. Not every wound heals instantly. Not every problem disappears overnight. But constantly panicking only creates more suffering, while time is already doing its work quietly in the background. The calmer your mind becomes, the more clearly you begin seeing life. Problems stop feeling gigantic. Fear loses some of its power. Your nervous system begins relaxing again. You stop emotionally drowning in every small difficulty. And slowly, you realize something powerful. Peace was never about creating a perfect life. Peace was about learning how to stop mentally fighting every imperfect part of life. The more you let go of unnecessary resistance, the lighter your heart becomes. The more you stop overthinking every problem, the more energy you have to actually enjoy being alive. The more you stop emotionally battling reality, the more peace naturally enters your life. One day, many of the things stressing you today will no longer matter. Many fears will disappear. Many problems will pass. But the time you spent trapped inside anxiety will never return. So stop carrying every problem like it is the end of the world. Stop emotionally punishing yourself over every uncertainty. Stop mentally exhausting yourself trying to control things beyond your power. Take a breath, slow down, Return to the present moment. Life becomes much more peaceful when you stop fighting it every second of the day. 9. Your peace is more valuable than constant worry. Many people sacrifice their peace every single day without even realizing it. They overthink every conversation, stress about every future possibility, replay painful memories repeatedly, and mentally carry problems from morning until night. Their mind never truly rests. Even during moments when life is calm, anxiety keeps creating new fears to worry about. Buddhism teaches that one of the greatest forms of wisdom is learning to protect your inner peace instead of constantly feeding mental suffering. Most people spend their lives chasing things they believe will finally make them happy. More success, more money, more validation, more control. But while chasing these things, they slowly lose the very thing that makes life worth living, a peaceful mind. Because without inner peace, even good moments become difficult to enjoy. Anxiety follows people everywhere when the mind never learns how to slow down. Think about how exhausting it feels when your mind is constantly active. You wake up already stressed. You spend the day mentally overwhelmed. At night, your body feels tired, but your thoughts still refuse to stop. The mind keeps replaying situations, imagining future problems, and creating emotional pressure over things you cannot fully control. Slowly, this becomes normal. Many people become so used to anxiety that they forget what real inner calm even feels like. Buddhism teaches that peace is not something small or unimportant. Peace is one of the most valuable things a human being can experience. A peaceful mind changes the way you experience life itself. Small problems stop feeling overwhelming. Difficult situations become easier to handle. Relationships become healthier. Your body feels lighter. Your emotions become more stable. Even ordinary moments begin feeling meaningful again. But anxious people often destroy their own peace by giving too much energy to things that do not deserve control over their mind. They worry about people who barely think about them. They stress over situations they cannot change. They obsess over future possibilities that may never happen. They mentally suffer over imagined disasters again and again, until emotional exhaustion becomes part of daily life. One of the saddest things about anxiety is that it steals the present moment while promising to protect the future. The anxious mind believes constant worrying will somehow prevent pain. But most of the time, anxiety only creates unnecessary suffering long before anything bad even happens. Think about how many peaceful moments were ruined because your mind refused to relax. How many nights were destroyed by overthinking? How many beautiful experiences were interrupted because anxiety kept pulling your attention toward fear? People often believe life is making them miserable, but sometimes it is their own uncontrolled mind creating most of the suffering. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps people realize how much emotional energy they waste every day. Many worries are not actually helping you. They are only draining your peace. Not every problem deserves endless attention. Not every thought deserves emotional attachment. Not every fear deserves control over your entire day. The peaceful person understands something the anxious mind forgets constantly. Peace is more important than constantly being mentally busy. Modern life encourages people to stay emotionally overwhelmed. Everyone is rushing, comparing, chasing, worrying, trying to prove themselves, constantly consuming information and negativity. The nervous system rarely gets true rest anymore. Because of this, many people feel emotionally tired all the time, without understanding why. The mind was never meant to carry endless pressure every hour of the day. Human beings need silence, rest, presence, stillness. But anxious people often feel uncomfortable slowing down because their mind has become addicted to mental noise. Even during peaceful moments, the anxious mind keeps searching for danger. If one problem disappears, another one quickly takes its place. This is why many people achieve things they once dreamed about, yet still cannot feel peaceful inside. Anxiety is not always caused by external problems. Sometimes it is caused by a mind that never learned how to feel safe in the present moment. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering, and many people are deeply attached to worry itself. They believe if they stop worrying, something bad will happen. They believe anxiety keeps them prepared and safe. But constant mental fear is not the same as wisdom. Worrying endlessly does not control life. It only damages inner peace. There is a difference between responsibly handling life and emotionally drowning inside every possible problem. The peaceful person still faces responsibilities, challenges, and uncertainty, but they stop mentally torturing themselves every second of the day. Many people think protecting their peace means avoiding life completely. But Buddhism does not teach escape. It teaches balance. You can care about your future without destroying your present moment. You can work hard without living in constant panic. You can face problems without emotionally collapsing every time something feels uncertain. Protecting your peace means becoming more careful about what you allow into your mind, without emotionally collapsing every time something feels uncertain. Protecting your peace means becoming more careful about what you allow into your mind. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your emotional reaction. Not every conflict deserves your attention. Sometimes peace requires letting certain things go, instead of endlessly mentally fighting them. Think about how much emotional suffering comes from trying to control other people. Trying to make everyone understand you. Trying to stop people from judging you. Trying to force relationships to stay the same forever. But life changes constantly. People change constantly. The more tightly you try to control everything, the more anxious you become. Buddhism teaches acceptance because acceptance protects inner peace. Acceptance means understanding that uncertainty is part of life. Some people will misunderstand you. Some situations will not go as planned. Some seasons of life will feel painful. But constantly resisting reality only creates deeper suffering. The anxious mind always asks, how do I stop bad things from happening? But the peaceful mind asks, how do I remain calm no matter what life brings? That is true emotional freedom. Peace becomes powerful when it no longer depends on perfect circumstances. Because life will never become completely perfect or predictable. There will always be moments of uncertainty, always moments of discomfort, always moments of change. But inner peace becomes possible when you stop mentally treating every uncomfortable situation like an emergency. Many people waste years emotionally suffering over things that later become meaningless. Situations that once felt terrifying eventually pass. Problems that once consumed the mind completely eventually disappear. But the emotional energy lost to anxiety never returns. This is why protecting your peace matters so deeply. Your life experience is shaped by the condition of your mind. If your mind is constantly anxious, even good moments feel stressful. But when your mind becomes calm, life itself starts feeling softer, lighter, and more beautiful. Simple things become enjoyable again. A peaceful morning feels meaningful. Silence feels comforting instead of uncomfortable. Conversations feel deeper. Rest no longer creates guilt. You stop constantly feeling chased by your own thoughts. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to the present moment. Anxiety lives mostly inside imaginary futures. But peace exists here, now, inside awareness. The more present you become, the less power anxious thoughts have over your life. Many people are mentally absent from their own existence. They are always somewhere else emotionally, always preparing for future pain, always replaying past mistakes. But while their mind stays trapped elsewhere, life quietly keeps moving forward. One day, many of the things stressing you today will no longer matter. Many fears will disappear. Many situations will resolve themselves naturally with time. But the years spent trapped inside anxiety can never be recovered. This is why Buddhism constantly reminds people to wake up before life disappears. Protect your peace while you are still alive. Protect your energy from unnecessary drama. Protect your mind from endless negativity. Protect your heart from constant overthinking. Because inner peace is not weakness. Inner peace is strength. A peaceful person thinks more clearly, loves more deeply, lives more fully. They stop wasting energy on things that destroy their emotional health. They stop carrying every small problem like it is the end of the world. The anxious mind constantly believes peace must wait until everything becomes stable. But life may never become fully stable. There may never be a perfect moment where all problems disappear completely. This is why peace cannot depend entirely on external circumstances. True peace is built internally. It is built when you stop feeding fear every moment. It is built when you stop emotionally attaching yourself to every anxious thought. It is built when you learn how to sit calmly inside uncertainty without mentally collapsing. Many people believe happiness comes from gaining more. But often peace comes from needing less mentally, less validation, less control, less overthinking, less emotional attachment to every problem. The lighter the mind becomes, the more peaceful life feels. Imagine how different your life would feel if your mind finally became quieter. Imagine not constantly preparing for disaster. Imagine not replaying painful situations endlessly. Imagine waking up without immediate anxiety about the future. This is possible when you begin valuing your peace more than your habit of worrying. Because anxiety becomes powerful when people keep feeding it attention. But peace becomes powerful when people finally decide their mental well-being matters more than endless fear. You deserve a calm mind. You deserve emotional rest. You deserve moments where your thoughts stop attacking you constantly. Life is already short. Do not allow anxiety to steal even more of it from you. Protect your peace while you still have time to truly experience your life. 10. A calm mind creates a beautiful life. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change the outside world without realizing that the quality of their life is deeply connected to the condition of their mind. They believe happiness will come after more money, more success, more recognition, or more control. But Buddhism teaches a powerful truth. When the mind is constantly anxious, fearful, and emotionally restless, even a good life can feel heavy. And when the mind becomes calm, even simple moments begin feeling beautiful again. A calm mind changes the way you experience everything. Problems stop feeling unbearable. Relationships feel healthier. Your body feels lighter. Your emotions become more stable. You stop mentally turning every inconvenience into suffering. You stop living in constant fear about the future. Life itself begins feeling softer because your inner world is no longer creating chaos every moment. Many people do not realize how much anxiety shapes their entire experience of life. The anxious mind sees danger everywhere. It overthinks every conversation. It expects rejection before it happens. It turns uncertainty into fear. Even during peaceful moments, The mind keeps searching for something to worry about. Because of this, many people struggle to feel happy no matter how much they achieve externally. Buddhism teaches that suffering often begins inside the mind long before it appears in reality. The way you think shapes the way you feel. The way you feel shapes the way you experience life. A fearful mind creates a fearful life. A peaceful mind creates a peaceful life. Think about how different life feels when your mind is calm. Simple things become enjoyable again. You can sit quietly without feeling uncomfortable. You can appreciate nature, silence, conversations, and ordinary moments without your thoughts constantly attacking you. This is why inner peace is so important. It changes not only your emotions, but your entire relationship with life itself. Many people wake up every morning already mentally exhausted. Before the day even begins, their mind is already filled with pressure, stress, and fear about the future. They immediately start thinking about responsibilities, problems, deadlines, and worst-case scenarios. Their nervous system never truly relaxes because the mind never stops preparing for danger. Modern life makes this worse. People are constantly overstimulated, endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless bad news, endless pressure to become more successful, more attractive, more productive, and more perfect. Because of this, many people feel emotionally overwhelmed almost all the time. The mind rarely experiences silence anymore. But Buddhism teaches that peace grows in stillness. A calm mind is not created by constantly feeding the brain more noise. It is created by slowing down enough to reconnect with the present moment again. The anxious mind is always rushing. It believes happiness exists somewhere in the future. I will finally feel peaceful after success. I will finally relax after solving all my problems. But life never completely removes uncertainty. There will always be challenges, changes, and unexpected situations. If peace depends entirely on perfect circumstances, many people will spend their whole life chasing a calmness that never arrives. A calm mind understands something different. It understands that peace is not about controlling everything externally. Peace is about learning how to remain internally stable even when life becomes uncertain. This is true emotional strength. Many people believe strength means constantly pushing harder, thinking harder, and controlling more. But Buddhism teaches that real strength often comes from letting go of unnecessary worry, letting go of mental resistance, letting go of attachment to things you cannot fully control. The calmer the mind becomes, the clearer life becomes. When anxiety controls the mind, everything feels heavier than it really is. Small problems become emotional disasters. Small mistakes become proof of failure. Temporary discomfort feels permanent. But when the mind becomes calm, problems stay in their true size. A calm mind does not mean a life without difficulties. It means you stop emotionally collapsing every time difficulties appear. Think about how much suffering comes from overthinking. The mind replays the same situations endlessly. It creates arguments that never happened. It imagines terrible futures that may never exist. Many people suffer more from their imagination than from reality itself. Buddhism teaches awareness, because awareness helps people see how often the mind creates unnecessary pain. The peaceful person learns how to observe thoughts without immediately becoming controlled by them. They understand that thoughts are temporary. Fear is temporary. Emotions are temporary. Not every thought deserves emotional attachment. Most people automatically believe every fearful thought their mind creates. But the calm mind learns how to pause before reacting. It asks, is this fear actually real, or is my mind exaggerating reality again? That awareness changes everything. A calm mind also changes relationships. Anxious people often react emotionally to everything. They become defensive quickly. Overthink messages. Fear abandonment constantly. Seek reassurance endlessly. Because their inner world feels unstable, relationships also begin feeling unstable. But when the mind becomes peaceful, relationships become healthier naturally. You stop needing constant validation. You stop emotionally overreacting to every small situation. You communicate more calmly. You become more patient. You stop allowing fear to control the way you connect with people. Buddhism teaches that inner peace affects every part of life because the mind influences every experience you have. Even your physical body changes when the mind becomes calmer. Stress weakens the nervous system over time. Constant anxiety drains energy from the body. Many people feel tired not because life is impossible, but because their thoughts never stop attacking them. A calm mind allows the body to rest again. Breathing becomes softer. Sleep improves. The nervous system relaxes. The body no longer feels trapped in constant survival mode. This is why protecting your peace matters so much. Many people sacrifice their peace trying to control things that were never fully under their control. They obsess over people's opinions, fear the future constantly, compare themselves endlessly, try to force life into perfect certainty. But no human being can completely control life. Buddhism teaches acceptance because acceptance reduces unnecessary suffering. Acceptance does not mean weakness. It means understanding reality clearly instead of mentally fighting it every moment. Life changes. People change. Situations change. Pain comes and goes. Nothing stays forever. The more you resist this truth, the more anxious life feels. A calm mind accepts uncertainty without emotionally collapsing. It understands that no amount of overthinking can fully protect you from life. But peace becomes possible when you stop trying to mentally control every possible outcome. Many people are waiting for external success before allowing themselves to feel calm. But some of the most successful people in the world still feel deeply anxious because external achievements cannot fully heal an internally chaotic mind. This is why Buddhism focuses so much on the inner world. Because if the mind is peaceful, life feels lighter regardless of circumstances. But if the mind is constantly restless, even beautiful experiences become difficult to enjoy. The calm mind appreciates simple moments more deeply. A peaceful morning feels meaningful. Silence feels comforting. Nature feels healing. Ordinary moments stop feeling empty because the mind is finally present enough to experience them fully. Many people rush through life too quickly to notice how beautiful ordinary moments actually are. They are always mentally somewhere else, always worrying about tomorrow, always replaying yesterday. Because of this, they miss life while trying to prepare for life. But a calm mind returns people to the present moment. And the present moment is where peace actually exists. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to reality. Anxiety mostly lives inside imagined futures. Regret mostly lives inside the past. But life can only truly be experienced now. The calmer your mind becomes, the more alive you feel. You begin noticing things anxiety once hid from you. The beauty of silence, the comfort of stillness, the peace inside simple routines, the joy of being emotionally present with the people you love. A calm mind also makes difficult moments easier to survive. Life will always contain pain, uncertainty, and loss. Buddhism never promises a life without hardship. But when the mind becomes peaceful, suffering no longer destroys you completely. You stop panicking every time life becomes uncomfortable. You stop believing every painful moment will last forever. The calm mind understands impermanence. It understands that emotions pass. Situations change. Fear fades. Difficult seasons eventually end. Because of this awareness, Life stops feeling so emotionally overwhelming all the time. Many people think happiness comes from constantly gaining more, but often happiness comes from mentally needing less. Less control, less validation, less comparison, less overthinking, less emotional attachment to every fear and problem. The lighter the mind becomes, the more beautiful life begins to feel. Imagine waking up without constant anxiety controlling your thoughts. Imagine enjoying life without mentally preparing for disaster every moment. Imagine sitting peacefully without your mind constantly creating fear. This is possible when inner peace becomes more important than endless mental chaos. The truth is simple. A calm mind creates a beautiful life because peace changes the way you experience everything. You stop surviving every day emotionally and finally begin truly living. And maybe that is what Buddhism has been trying to teach all along. That peace was never hiding somewhere far away. Peace begins the moment the mind finally learns how to be still. 11. Stop waiting for life to feel perfect before you enjoy it. One of the biggest mistakes people make in life is believing they must wait for perfect conditions before they allow themselves to feel happy. They tell themselves, I will finally relax after I become successful. I will finally enjoy life after my problems disappear. I will finally feel peaceful after everything becomes stable. Because of this mindset, many people spend most of their life emotionally trapped inside stress, fear, pressure, and anxiety, while constantly postponing happiness into the future. Buddhism teaches that this way of living creates endless suffering. Because life has never been completely perfect, and it never will be. There will always be uncertainty, always responsibilities, always uncomfortable emotions, always unexpected problems. If you keep waiting for life to become perfect before you allow yourself to enjoy it, you may spend your entire life waiting. Many people unknowingly train themselves to reject the present moment. No matter what they achieve, their mind immediately focuses on what is still missing. If they gain money, they worry about losing it. If they achieve success, they fear failure. If they find love, they fear heartbreak. The anxious mind keeps postponing peace because it believes happiness exists somewhere further ahead. But Buddhism teaches that peace cannot exist in a mind that constantly refuses to appreciate the present moment. Think about how many moments anxiety has already stolen from you. Moments that could have been peaceful, meaningful, and beautiful if your mind had simply slowed down enough to experience them fully. Many people go through life physically present, but mentally absent. Their body is here, but their thoughts are somewhere else. Always preparing for future pain. Always worrying about tomorrow. Always replaying yesterday. Because of this, they miss life while trying to prepare for life. The anxious mind constantly says, not yet. I cannot relax yet. I cannot feel peaceful yet. I cannot enjoy life yet. But the problem is that later never truly arrives. One problem disappears and another one replaces it. One stressful season ends and another one begins. This is simply part of human life. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when people become emotionally attached to the idea of a perfect future. They imagine a future where anxiety disappears completely, where life becomes predictable, and where nothing painful ever happens again. But reality does not work that way. Human life always contains uncertainty, change, and imperfection. The peaceful person understands something the anxious mind forgets constantly. Happiness does not require perfect conditions. You can still experience peace during uncertain seasons. You can still appreciate life while healing. You can still enjoy simple moments even when problems exist in the background. Many people are waiting for life to finally begin. But life is already happening right now. Your current mornings are part of your life. Your current relationships are part of your life. Even your current struggles are part of your life story. But anxious people often fail to experience these moments deeply because they are too mentally focused on escaping into some imagined future where everything finally feels perfect. Think about how often people sacrifice today for tomorrow. They overwork themselves constantly, ignore their health, ignore rest, ignore meaningful relationships, ignore simple joys. They tell themselves they will finally slow down after achieving enough. But life moves quickly. Years disappear faster than people expect. And many people reach later stages of life realizing they spent most of their existence emotionally distracted. Buddhism teaches impermanence because it wakes people up to the temporary nature of life. Nothing lasts forever. Not your youth. Not your current chapter of life. Not even the people around you. One day, many of the ordinary moments you barely notice today will become memories. This is why awareness matters so deeply. One day, the mornings you rushed through may become the moments you miss the most. One day, the conversations you barely appreciated may become memories you wish you could experience again. One day, even this current version of your life will disappear forever. But anxious people often fail to realize this while the moment is still alive. They are too busy mentally fighting life to fully experience it. Many people believe happiness is something dramatic and far away. But Buddhism teaches that happiness often exists quietly inside ordinary moments. A peaceful walk, a deep breath after stress, sitting beside someone you love, watching the sky during sunset, drinking tea in silence, feeling calm for a few moments after a difficult day. These moments are life itself, but the anxious mind overlooks them because it keeps chasing bigger future moments. It believes happiness must always come from achieving more, fixing more, controlling more, or becoming more. This endless chasing creates emotional exhaustion. Modern life encourages people to constantly rush, constant productivity, constant comparison, constant achievement. People rarely slow down long enough to simply experience being alive anymore. Even moments of rest become filled with guilt and mental pressure. Because of this, many people feel emotionally disconnected from life itself. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to the present moment. It teaches people how to stop mentally escaping every moment through endless overthinking. It teaches people how to slow down enough to notice life again. The truth is that peace is often already available, but anxiety prevents people from noticing it. A calm morning is peace. Silence without fear is peace. A relaxed nervous system is peace. Being emotionally present with someone you love is peace. But the anxious mind keeps rejecting these moments because it is addicted to searching for future problems. Many people unknowingly believe suffering makes them responsible. They feel guilty when they rest, guilty when they slow down, guilty when they enjoy life, while problems still exist. But Buddhism teaches balance, not endless emotional pressure. You do not need to suffer constantly to deserve peace. You do not need to solve every future problem before allowing yourself to breathe deeply again. You do not need complete certainty before allowing yourself to experience happiness. The anxious mind constantly tries to prepare for every possible pain. But no human being can fully control life. Unexpected situations will always happen. Some plans will fail. Some people will leave. Some seasons will feel difficult. This is part of being human, but constantly worrying about future pain only steals present peace. Many people miss the beauty of life because they are too mentally focused on avoiding suffering. They become emotionally obsessed with safety, certainty, and control. But in the process, they stop truly living. Buddhism teaches that true peace begins when you stop mentally resisting life every second of the day. Life becomes lighter when you stop demanding perfection from it. Some days will feel messy, some seasons will feel uncertain, some emotions will feel painful. But even inside imperfect lives, beautiful moments still exist. The peaceful person understands this deeply. They stop postponing happiness until life becomes flawless. They stop emotionally waiting for some perfect future version of reality before allowing themselves to feel alive. They begin appreciating ordinary moments while they still exist. This changes everything. Because once you stop mentally rejecting the present moment, life begins feeling more meaningful again. You start noticing beauty hidden inside ordinary days. You stop rushing through every experience. You stop treating life like a problem that must constantly be solved. You stop emotionally abandoning the current moment in search of some future happiness that never fully arrives. Many people do not realize that anxiety often comes from refusing to fully accept life as it is right now. They are constantly mentally arguing with reality. This should not be happening. My life should already be better. I should already feel happier. Because of this resistance, suffering becomes heavier. But Buddhism teaches acceptance instead of constant emotional resistance. Acceptance does not mean giving up on growth. It means understanding that peace becomes possible when you stop fighting reality every second of the day. You can still improve your life while appreciating your current existence. You can still chase goals while protecting your mental peace. You can still heal while allowing yourself to enjoy small moments in the present. The anxious mind believes happiness must always wait. But the peaceful mind says, "This moment matters too." That mindset changes the entire experience of life. Imagine how different life would feel if you stopped postponing peace. Imagine allowing yourself to enjoy simple moments without guilt. Imagine not constantly feeling pressured to control everything before relaxing. This is what Buddhism tries to teach. That peace is not found by escaping life. Peace is found by fully arriving inside life. Many people are physically alive but emotionally absent because their mind is always somewhere else, always worrying, always preparing, always mentally escaping the present moment. But one day, life will end. And when that day comes, most people will not wish they worried more. They will wish they appreciated more moments, loved more deeply, rested more peacefully, laughed more freely, and truly allowed themselves to experience being alive while they still had the chance. This is why protecting your peace matters so much. Because life is happening now. Not later. Not after perfection arrives. Not after every fear disappears. Right now. The ordinary moments you are living today may one day become memories you desperately wish you could experience again. So stop waiting for life to become perfect before allowing yourself to enjoy it. Stop postponing happiness until some future version of reality finally appears. Slow down enough to notice life while it is still here. Appreciate ordinary moments before they disappear. Protect your peace while you still have time to truly experience your existence. Because one day, you will realize that life was never meant to be perfect all the time. It was meant to be lived. 12. The more present you become, the less anxiety controls you. One of the biggest reasons people suffer from anxiety is because their mind is almost never fully present. Their body may be sitting in one place, but mentally they are somewhere else completely. Thinking about tomorrow, replaying yesterday, imagining future problems, mentally preparing for painful situations that may never even happen. Buddhism teaches that anxiety becomes powerful when the mind leaves the present moment and becomes trapped inside fear, regret, and endless overthinking. Most people do not realize how rarely they actually experience life directly. Even during peaceful moments, the mind keeps running endlessly in the background. A person could be eating with family, but mentally worrying about work. They could be walking outside during a beautiful evening, but internally replaying painful memories. They could be resting at home, but emotionally trapped inside future fears. Because of this, people slowly lose their connection to life itself. Buddhism teaches that peace can only exist in the present moment. The past already happened. The future has not arrived yet. But anxiety constantly pulls people away from the only moment where life is actually happening. Now, the anxious mind believes it must constantly think ahead to stay safe. It keeps imagining worst-case scenarios, predicting problems, and mentally preparing for pain. But most of this suffering exists only inside thought. The body may be safe in the current moment, yet the mind keeps creating emotional danger through imagination. Think about how many times your anxiety came from things that were not even happening yet. You worried about conversations before they happened, feared rejection before anyone rejected you, felt stress about situations that later turned out completely different than you imagined. The anxious mind constantly creates future pain in advance, and because of this, people end up suffering twice. First through imagination, and then again if difficulty actually arrives. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness helps people return to reality instead of getting lost inside endless mental noise. The present moment is often far calmer than the stories anxiety creates. But people rarely notice this because their mind keeps escaping into fear. Many people have forgotten how to simply be present. They are constantly distracted, constantly consuming information, constantly checking their phone, constantly thinking about the next thing. Their attention is always scattered. And because attention is scattered, inner peace becomes difficult to experience. Modern life trains people to stay mentally restless all the time. Endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless stimulation. The mind rarely gets silence anymore. Even during moments of rest, people continue feeding their brain more noise. Because of this, the nervous system remains tense almost constantly. The anxious mind becomes addicted to movement. It feels uncomfortable slowing down. Silence feels strange. Stillness feels boring. Rest feels unproductive. But Buddhism teaches that stillness is necessary for peace. A calm mind cannot grow inside constant mental chaos. This is why mindfulness is so powerful. Mindfulness reconnects people to the present moment. It teaches people how to observe life directly instead of constantly viewing life through fear and overthinking. When you become present, something important happens. The mind begins slowing down. Breathing becomes calmer. The nervous system relaxes. Thoughts lose some of their power. And life starts feeling real again. Many people are physically alive but emotionally disconnected from their own existence because anxiety constantly keeps them mentally somewhere else. They are so focused on surviving the future that they forget to experience the present. But life is not happening in the future. Life is happening now. Your current morning is part of your life. This conversation is part of your life. The people around you right now are part of your life. Even this exact season of your life, with all its struggles and imperfections, is part of your human experience. But anxious people often miss these moments because they are too mentally distracted to fully experience them. Buddhism teaches that awareness transforms ordinary moments into meaningful experiences. A calm mind notices beauty more deeply. Silence becomes peaceful instead of uncomfortable. A simple walk feels healing. Even breathing slowly for a few moments can reconnect you to life again. The anxious mind rushes through everything. It constantly believes happiness exists somewhere ahead. I will finally relax later. I will enjoy life after success. I will feel peace after solving all my problems. But this way of thinking keeps people emotionally disconnected from the present moment forever, because there will always be another challenge, another responsibility, another uncertainty. If peace depends entirely on future conditions, many people will never truly feel peaceful. The present moment is where peace actually exists, but anxiety constantly distracts people from this truth. Many people believe they are anxious because life itself is terrible, but often they are anxious because their mind never stops mentally escaping reality. They constantly feed fear, overthinking, and emotional resistance until their nervous system becomes exhausted. Buddhism teaches acceptance, because acceptance brings people back into the present moment. Acceptance means seeing reality clearly without mentally fighting every uncomfortable experience. Life will contain uncertainty. Some days will feel difficult. Some emotions will feel painful. But the present moment becomes much lighter when you stop mentally resisting it every second. The anxious mind says, "This moment is not enough." The peaceful mind says, "This moment is where life exists." That shift changes everything. Think about how often people postpone living. They tell themselves they will finally enjoy life later, after success, after money, after healing, after certainty. But while waiting for some perfect future version of life, time quietly keeps moving forward. Buddhism teaches impermanence because everything changes quickly. Seasons disappear quickly. Relationships change quickly. Entire chapters of life vanish before people fully appreciate them. One day, even the ordinary moments you barely notice today may become memories you deeply miss later. But anxiety prevents people from fully experiencing these moments while they still exist. The mind stays trapped in fear instead of presence. This is why mindfulness matters so deeply. Mindfulness is not just meditation, it is learning how to return your attention back to the life happening in front of you. It is learning how to eat without overthinking constantly, walk without mentally replaying painful memories, sit quietly without immediately searching for distraction. Most people have become uncomfortable with simply existing peacefully. Their mind constantly needs stimulation, noise, and emotional movement. But Buddhism teaches that peace grows through stillness. The more present you become, the less control anxiety has over your life, because anxiety depends heavily on mental time travel. It pulls people into imaginary futures. It traps people inside painful past memories. But presence interrupts this cycle. When you fully arrive inside the present moment, many fears lose their intensity. You begin realizing that most of your suffering was created by thought rather than immediate reality. The peaceful person still experiences problems, but they stop mentally multiplying suffering through endless overthinking. They handle life one moment at a time instead of emotionally drowning inside imagined futures. Many people overwhelm themselves because they mentally carry the entire future at once. They think about next week, next year, worst-case scenarios, and endless uncertainties all at the same time. But the human mind was never designed to carry that much emotional weight constantly. Buddhism teaches simplicity because simplicity calms the mind. One breath at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time. That is how peace grows. The anxious mind constantly demands certainty about the future. But peace does not come from controlling the future completely. Peace comes from learning how to trust yourself in the present moment. You do not need all the answers right now. You do not need to solve your entire future tonight. You do not need to mentally fight every possible problem before it arrives. Sometimes peace begins with simply sitting quietly and allowing the mind to slow down for a few moments. Many people are exhausted not because life is impossible, but because their thoughts never stop attacking them. The mind constantly creates pressure, fear, comparison, and emotional tension until the nervous system becomes overwhelmed. But when the mind becomes present, the body begins relaxing again. Breathing deepens, thoughts slow down, fear softens, and suddenly, life does not feel quite as heavy anymore. This is why Buddhism places so much importance on awareness. Because awareness reconnects people to life itself. The more present you become, the more beauty you notice. The more beauty you notice, the less anxiety controls your emotional state. Simple moments become meaningful again. A peaceful morning feels valuable again. Conversations feel deeper again. Silence feels healing instead of uncomfortable. You stop mentally escaping life and finally begin experiencing it directly. Many people are waiting for anxiety to disappear completely before they allow themselves to feel alive. But Buddhism teaches something deeper. It teaches that peace is not created by removing every uncomfortable feeling. Peace is created by changing your relationship with your thoughts and returning your attention back to the present moment. The present moment may not always feel perfect, but it is where your actual life exists. Not inside tomorrow, not inside yesterday. Here, now. And the more deeply you learn how to stay present, the more freedom you gain from anxiety. Because anxiety cannot fully control a mind that has learned how to return home to the present moment again and again. One day, your current life will become memories. The ordinary moments you overlook today may later become the moments you miss the most. So stop mentally abandoning the present moment through endless worry. Slow down enough to truly experience your life while it is still happening. Take deeper breaths. Notice the people around you. Notice the silence. Notice the beauty hidden inside ordinary moments. Because peace is not hiding somewhere far away in the future. Peace begins the moment you fully arrive inside the life you are already living right now. 13. You were not born to spend your whole life anxious. Many people have become so used to anxiety that they no longer remember what inner peace feels like. Stress has become normal. Overthinking has become normal. Emotional exhaustion has become normal. They wake up worried, spend the day mentally overwhelmed, and go to sleep with a mind that still refuses to rest. Even during moments when life becomes quiet, their thoughts continue creating fear, pressure, and emotional tension. Buddhism teaches that this is not the natural state of the human mind. You were not born to spend your entire life trapped inside anxiety. Human beings were not created to constantly carry fear every hour of the day. Yet modern life trains people to live exactly this way. Endless pressure, endless comparison, endless bad news, endless expectations. People are constantly mentally stimulated until their nervous system becomes exhausted. The mind never truly slows down anymore. Even moments of silence become uncomfortable because anxiety has conditioned people to fear stillness itself. Many people do not realize how disconnected they have become from life. Their body moves through daily routines, but mentally they are somewhere else. Always worrying about tomorrow. Always replaying painful situations from the past. Always trying to predict problems before they happen. Because of this, they stop experiencing the present moment fully. Life quietly passes while the mind remains trapped inside fear. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when the mind becomes attached to worry and resistance. The anxious mind constantly fights reality. It demands certainty from life. It wants guarantees about the future. It wants protection from pain, rejection, failure, and change. But life has never promised complete certainty to anyone. Uncertainty is part of being human. Change is part of being human. Pain is part of being human. The more people mentally resist these truths, the more anxious life feels. Many people spend years trying to control things that were never fully under their control. They try to control other people's opinions, control the future, control every possible outcome, control uncertainty itself. But the harder they try to mentally control life, the more emotionally exhausted they become. Buddhism teaches that peace begins when you stop demanding perfection from life. You stop expecting every moment to feel easy. You stop mentally fighting every uncomfortable emotion. You stop turning uncertainty into emotional catastrophe. Most anxiety is not created by reality itself. It is created by the stories the mind constantly tells about reality. Think about how many times your mind exaggerated situations that later became meaningless. A conversation that kept you awake all night later became unimportant. A fear that once consumed your thoughts never actually happened. A stressful situation that once felt unbearable eventually passed with time. The anxious mind constantly predicts disaster, but reality is often much softer than fear imagines. This is why Buddhism teaches awareness. Awareness helps people separate reality from imagination. It helps people notice how often their suffering comes from mental stories rather than immediate truth. Many people have become emotionally addicted to worry without realizing it. Even when life becomes peaceful, the mind still searches for danger. If one problem disappears, another one immediately replaces it. The nervous system becomes so used to stress that calmness starts feeling unfamiliar. This is one of the saddest effects of anxiety. People stop trusting peace. They become more comfortable with emotional chaos than silence. They feel guilty when resting, guilty when slowing down, guilty when enjoying life while problems still exist. But Buddhism teaches balance, not endless suffering. You do not need to mentally torture yourself to prove you care about your life. You do not need constant anxiety to be responsible. You do not need to carry fear every second of the day to prepare for the future. The anxious mind constantly says, "If I stop worrying, something bad will happen." But worrying endlessly does not protect life. It only steals the ability to enjoy it. Many people lose years of peace preparing for problems that never arrive. Think about how much emotional energy anxiety steals daily. It steals sleep, focus, joy, presence, relationships, health. People become physically alive but emotionally disconnected from life itself because fear constantly controls their attention. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to the present moment again. It teaches people how to stop living entirely inside thought. It teaches people how to observe life directly instead of constantly viewing reality through fear. When the mind becomes calmer, something beautiful happens. Simple moments begin feeling meaningful again. Silence becomes peaceful instead of uncomfortable. Ordinary days stop feeling empty. You begin noticing beauty hidden inside life that anxiety once prevented you from seeing. Many people believe happiness only exists inside big achievements. But Buddhism teaches that peace often lives inside very small moments. A quiet morning, deep breathing after stress, watching the sky, sitting peacefully without pressure, feeling emotionally present with someone you love. But anxious people often miss these moments because their mind is constantly somewhere else. Always chasing, always worrying, always mentally escaping the present moment. The truth is that life is made of ordinary moments. Your life is not one giant dramatic event. It is built from small experiences repeated daily. If anxiety steals your ability to appreciate small moments, it slowly steals your ability to appreciate life itself. This is why protecting your peace matters so deeply. Many people think peace is something weak or passive, but Buddhism teaches that inner peace is strength. A peaceful mind thinks more clearly, handles difficulty more calmly, makes wiser decisions, experiences relationships more deeply, and most importantly, a peaceful mind allows a person to fully experience being alive. The anxious mind constantly creates unnecessary suffering. It turns small problems into emotional disasters. It overthinks tiny details until exhaustion appears. It assumes worst-case scenarios before reality even unfolds. But the peaceful mind learns how to pause. It learns how to breathe. It learns how to stop emotionally reacting to every fearful thought immediately. This does not mean life suddenly becomes perfect. Buddhism never promises a life without problems. Instead, it teaches people how to stop adding unnecessary suffering to natural human experiences. Because pain is part of life. But endless mental resistance creates deeper suffering. Many people believe they are weak because they feel anxious. But Buddhism teaches compassion toward the mind. Human beings naturally experience fear, uncertainty, and emotional struggle. The goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to stop becoming completely controlled by every anxious thought that appears. The peaceful person still feels fear sometimes, still experiences uncertainty, still has difficult moments, but they stop emotionally drowning inside every feeling. They stop identifying with every thought. They stop mentally carrying every problem forever. And slowly, life becomes lighter. One of the deepest Buddhist teachings is impermanence. Everything changes. Emotions change, situations change, pain changes, fear changes. Even the darkest seasons eventually pass. But the anxious mind forgets this. It acts as if current suffering will last forever. Think about how many difficult moments you already survived. Moments that once felt impossible eventually became memories. Situations that once destroyed your peace eventually passed with time. Human beings are often far stronger than anxiety allows them to believe. But anxiety constantly weakens people emotionally by making every problem feel permanent and overwhelming. Buddhism teaches that true peace begins when you stop mentally exaggerating every difficulty. Life becomes easier when the mind stops attacking itself constantly. Imagine how different your life would feel if your mind became quieter. Imagine waking up without immediate fear controlling your thoughts. Imagine enjoying conversations without replaying them afterward. Imagine sitting peacefully without needing constant distraction. Imagine not mentally preparing for disaster every second of the day. This is possible when inner peace becomes more important than endless worry. The anxious mind always believes peace exists somewhere in the future. But Buddhism teaches that peace begins now, inside awareness. Not after every problem disappears, not after perfect certainty arrives, not after life becomes flawless. Right now, inside this moment, inside this breath. Many people spend their whole life emotionally absent because they are always mentally waiting for life to finally begin. But life already began a long time ago. Your current chapter of life matters. Your ordinary days matter. The people around you matter. Even quiet moments matter. But anxiety prevents people from fully experiencing these things while they still exist. One day, the things stressing you now will disappear. One day, this current version of your life will become memory. One day, many ordinary moments you barely notice today may become the moments you miss the most later. This is why Buddhism constantly reminds people to wake up before life disappears. Stop postponing peace. Stop mentally punishing yourself every day. Stop carrying fear like it is your identity. You were not born to spend your whole life anxious. You were born to experience life, to breathe deeply, to love deeply, to feel present, to appreciate moments while they still exist, to experience peace while you are still alive. Yes, life will contain difficulty. Yes, some days will feel painful. Yes, uncertainty will always exist. But anxiety does not need to control your entire existence. The more awareness you develop, the more freedom you gain from fear. The calmer your mind becomes, the more clearly you begin seeing life. And slowly, you realize something powerful. Peace was never about controlling everything around you. Peace was about learning how to stop fighting yourself every moment inside your own mind. That is where freedom begins. That is where healing begins. And maybe that is what Buddhism has been trying to teach all. One day you will realize how much time anxiety stole from you. One day you will look back at your life and realize how many moments anxiety quietly stole from you. Not because life was always terrible, but because your mind was rarely at peace long enough to fully experience the life happening in front of you. Buddhism teaches that many people are not truly living. They are surviving mentally, constantly worrying, constantly overthinking, constantly preparing for future pain while missing the present moment entirely. Many people spend years trapped inside fear without even realizing how much life is passing them by. They wake up stressed, rush through the day emotionally overwhelmed, go to sleep mentally exhausted, then repeat the same cycle again and again until entire years disappear. One day they suddenly realize they spent most of their life mentally preparing for life instead of actually living it. The anxious mind always believes there will be more time later, more time to relax, more time to enjoy life, more time to slow down and appreciate the people around you. But Buddhism constantly reminds people of one painful truth: life is temporary, time moves quietly, and once moments disappear, they never return again. Think about how many moments anxiety already stole from you, moments that should have felt beautiful, peaceful, and alive. Time with people you loved, calm mornings, quiet evenings, important memories. But instead of fully experiencing those moments, the mind was trapped somewhere else, worrying about tomorrow, replaying old mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios, mentally fighting problems that often never even happened. This is one of the deepest tragedies of anxiety. It steals life before life is even over. Many people do not realize how precious ordinary moments are until those moments disappear forever. A simple conversation with someone you love, sitting beside your parents, laughing with friends, drinking tea peacefully in silence, walking outside during a quiet evening. These moments seem ordinary while they are happening, but later they often become memories people desperately wish they appreciated more deeply. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness helps people wake up before life disappears completely. Most people are physically alive, but emotionally absent from their own existence. Their body is here, but their attention is always trapped inside fear and thought. The anxious mind constantly postpones peace. I will finally relax after success. I will finally enjoy life after solving all my problems. I will finally feel calm after everything becomes stable. But life rarely becomes perfectly stable. There will always be uncertainty, always responsibilities, always some form of difficulty. If you keep waiting for perfect conditions before allowing yourself to enjoy life, you may spend your entire existence emotionally waiting. Many people reach later stages of life filled with regret, not because they lacked achievements, but because they failed to truly experience the life they already had. They spent too much time mentally distracted, too much time stressed, too much time emotionally unavailable. Anxiety quietly stole years from them, one fearful thought at a time. Buddhism teaches impermanence because it reminds people that everything eventually changes. Your current chapter of life will disappear one day. The people around you will not always be here. Your youth will not last forever. Even the routines you think are ordinary today may later become memories you deeply miss. But anxiety prevents people from appreciating these things while they still exist. The anxious mind constantly searches for future danger instead of noticing present beauty. Think about how often your mind ruins peaceful moments by immediately creating fear. You finally get time to rest, but anxiety reminds you of unfinished problems. You spend time with someone you love, but your thoughts keep drifting towards stress and worry. You accomplish something meaningful, but instead of feeling grateful, the mind instantly fears losing it. This is how anxiety steals life. Not all at once, little by little, moment by moment, until years quietly disappear. Many people believe anxiety is helping them stay prepared for life. But endless worrying rarely protects people. It mostly steals emotional energy from the present moment. The anxious mind believes constant fear creates safety, but in reality, it often creates exhaustion. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness interrupts this cycle of unconscious living. Awareness helps people notice how often their own mind is pulling them away from life itself. It teaches people how to stop mentally escaping every moment through endless overthinking. When the mind becomes calmer, ordinary moments begin feeling meaningful again. A peaceful morning feels valuable again. Silence feels comforting instead of uncomfortable. Conversations feel deeper. You begin noticing beauty anxiety once hid from you. Many people are addicted to mental noise without realizing it. Their mind constantly needs distraction, stimulation, and emotional movement. When life slows down, anxiety immediately creates new worries because stillness feels unfamiliar. Modern life makes this even worse. Endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless information. The human nervous system rarely gets true rest anymore. People are constantly mentally overstimulated, and because of this, inner peace becomes difficult to experience. But Buddhism teaches that peace grows through stillness, not through endless mental activity, not through constant emotional pressure, not through overthinking every possible future problem. Peace grows when the mind finally slows down enough to reconnect with reality again. Many people do not realize how much of life they miss because they are emotionally trapped inside thought. Anxiety keeps people mentally living in imaginary futures instead of fully experiencing the present moment. The problem is that life can only be lived now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. This exact moment is part of your life story, but anxious people often fail to experience it deeply because they are too mentally distracted. One day, you may look back and realize the moments you once thought were ordinary were actually the most important moments of your life. The mornings you rushed through, the people you assumed would always be there, the quiet moments you barely noticed, the peaceful days you spent overthinking instead of appreciating. This is why Buddhism constantly teaches gratitude and awareness. Because gratitude reconnects people to the present moment. The anxious mind focuses on what is missing. The grateful mind notices what already exists. Anxiety says, something is wrong. Awareness says, this moment still matters. That shift changes everything. Many people postpone happiness because they believe life must first become perfect. But Buddhism teaches that peace is not found inside perfection. Peace is found inside presence. You can still experience meaningful moments during difficult seasons. You can still appreciate life while healing. You can still feel gratitude while carrying responsibilities. The anxious mind believes every problem must disappear before peace becomes possible. But life does not work that way. Problems come and go constantly. If your peace depends entirely on external conditions, anxiety will always control you. This is why inner peace matters so deeply. Because a peaceful mind allows you to experience life more fully while it is still happening. Many people do not understand this until they lose something important. Until someone leaves, until time passes, until health changes, until an entire chapter of life disappears forever. Then suddenly they realize how distracted they were while life was still giving them beautiful moments to appreciate. Buddhism teaches that suffering increases when people live unconsciously. When people stop noticing life itself, when they rush through every experience mentally absent from the present moment. The peaceful person moves differently. They slow down enough to notice life. They appreciate ordinary moments. They stop mentally turning every small problem into emotional catastrophe. They understand that time is precious. And because of this awareness, they protect their peace more carefully. Many people waste years emotionally exhausting themselves over things that later become meaningless. Situations that once felt life-ending eventually disappear. Fears that once controlled the mind eventually fade. Problems that once felt unbearable later become distant memories. But the emotional energy lost to anxiety never returns. This is why protecting your peace matters so much. Because one day you will realize that life was never mainly about achieving perfect control. It was about experiencing moments while they still existed, loving people while they were still here, appreciating ordinary days before they disappeared, feeling alive while you still had the chance. The anxious mind constantly rushes through life, preparing for future problems. But the peaceful mind understands something deeper. That this moment matters too. This ordinary day matters too. This conversation matters too. This breath matters too. Many people are waiting for life to finally begin, while life is already quietly passing by. This is why Buddhism teaches presence. Because presence reconnects people to reality before time disappears forever. Imagine how different life would feel if anxiety stopped controlling every moment. Imagine waking up without immediately feeling fear about the future. Imagine appreciating simple moments without mentally escaping them. Imagine feeling emotionally present with the people around you. This becomes possible when awareness grows stronger than fear. When peace becomes more important than endless overthinking. When you stop mentally abandoning the present moment every day. The truth is painful but simple. One day your life will end. And when that day comes, you will probably not wish you spent more time worrying. You will wish you slowed down more, appreciated more, loved more deeply, rested more peacefully, smiled more often, and truly allowed yourself to experience life while it was still happening. This is why anxiety is so dangerous. Because it steals life quietly, not always through dramatic suffering, but through constant emotional distraction. It pulls people away from the only thing they truly have, the present moment. But Buddhism teaches that freedom becomes possible when you wake up from unconscious living, when you stop allowing fear to control your relationship with life, when you finally understand that peace is not something you should postpone until later. Peace matters now. Your life matters now. This moment matters now. So stop mentally sacrificing today for imaginary future fears. Slow down enough to notice life before it disappears. Protect your peace while you still have time to truly experience your existence. Because one day you may realize that anxiety stole years from your life. And by then, those years will never come back again. 15. Peace begins when you stop overthinking every part of life. Many people are mentally exhausted, not because life is impossible, but because they overthink every part of it. They overthink conversations, decisions, mistakes, relationships, the future, and even small daily situations that should never carry so much emotional weight. Their mind never truly rests because it constantly analyzes, predicts, fears, and imagines problems before they even happen. Buddhism teaches that much of human suffering is not created by life itself, but by the endless mental noise people create around life. The anxious mind turns everything into a problem to solve. A delayed reply becomes rejection. A small mistake becomes proof of failure. A difficult day becomes a terrible future. Instead of experiencing life directly, the mind keeps creating fearful stories about what everything might mean. Because of this, people become emotionally overwhelmed even when nothing serious is happening in reality. Many people no longer know how to simply exist peacefully without mentally fighting something. Even during calm moments, their thoughts keep searching for danger. If life becomes quiet, the mind creates new worries. If one problem disappears, another one quickly replaces it. Anxiety becomes a habit because the mind becomes addicted to overthinking itself. Buddhism teaches that peace begins when you stop giving every thought complete control over your emotional state. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear deserves your energy. Just because the mind creates a frightening idea does not mean that idea reflects reality. Think about how often your mind creates suffering out of situations that later become meaningless. How many nights did you lose sleep over things that never actually happened? How many conversations did you replay repeatedly, only to realize later they did not matter nearly as much as your mind believed? The anxious mind exaggerates reality constantly. It makes temporary problems feel permanent, and small situations feel emotionally overwhelming. One of the deepest teachings in Buddhism is that the mind creates much of its own suffering through attachment and resistance. People become attached to fearful thoughts, painful memories, and imagined futures. Then they emotionally suffer inside stories that only exist in the mind. The problem is not always reality itself. The problem is the endless thinking about reality. Many people believe overthinking gives them control. They think if they analyze everything enough, they can avoid pain, failure, rejection, or uncertainty. But overthinking rarely creates peace. Most of the time, it only creates emotional exhaustion. The anxious mind constantly searches for certainty in a world that can never become fully certain. It wants guarantees about relationships, success, the future, and life itself. But Buddhism teaches that uncertainty is part of being human. Life changes constantly. People change constantly. Situations change constantly. The more tightly people try to mentally control life, the more anxious they become. Peace begins when you stop trying to mentally solve every possible future problem. Many people carry emotional pressure every single day because their mind never stops working. Even when the body rests, the thoughts continue running endlessly. The mind keeps replaying old situations, imagining future disasters, comparing life to others, and creating stress over things that are outside personal control. Because of this, people slowly become disconnected from peace itself. Modern life makes this even worse. Constant notifications, constant comparison online, constant pressure to achieve more. People are overstimulated mentally all day long. Silence becomes rare. Stillness becomes uncomfortable. Rest feels guilty. And because the mind never slows down, anxiety becomes stronger. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness interrupts this cycle of endless mental noise. It teaches people how to return their attention back to the present moment instead of constantly getting lost inside thought. The present moment is often far calmer than the anxious mind believes. Right now, many of the things you fear are not actually happening. The suffering exists mostly inside imagination. But overthinking makes imaginary pain feel emotionally real. Many people suffer from future problems long before those problems ever arrive. This is why Buddhism teaches awareness. Awareness helps people notice how much suffering is being created by thought itself. The peaceful person still thinks about life responsibly, but they stop emotionally drowning inside every thought. They stop mentally replaying situations 100 times. They stop trying to control every future outcome through endless worry. Instead, they learn how to trust life more calmly. They learn how to trust themselves more deeply. And slowly, the mind becomes lighter. Overthinking steals life from people quietly. It steals sleep, it steals joy, it steals presence, it steals the ability to enjoy simple moments. Many people cannot even fully relax during peaceful experiences because the mind immediately starts worrying about future problems again. A peaceful evening becomes anxiety about tomorrow. A happy relationship becomes fear of loss. Success becomes fear of failure. The anxious mind rarely allows people to fully enjoy anything because it constantly predicts pain before pain even arrives. But Buddhism teaches that true peace begins when you stop mentally living in the future all the time. Life can only be experienced now, not tomorrow, not inside imagination. Now. This moment matters. But many people are too mentally distracted to fully experience it. The anxious mind constantly asks, "What if something goes wrong?" The peaceful mind says, "I will handle life one moment at a time." That mindset changes everything, because peace does not come from controlling the future perfectly. Peace comes from no longer needing complete certainty to feel calm. Many people are waiting for a future where anxiety completely disappears before allowing themselves to feel alive. But life does not suddenly become perfect one day. There will always be responsibilities, uncertainty, and challenges. If peace depends entirely on external perfection, anxiety will always remain in control. This is why Buddhism teaches inner stillness instead of endless mental control. Stillness allows the nervous system to rest again. Stillness allows thoughts to slow down. Stillness reconnects people to reality instead of imagination. When the mind becomes calmer, simple things become beautiful again. Silence feels peaceful instead of uncomfortable. Ordinary moments feel meaningful. The body relaxes. Emotions soften. Life stops feeling like constant emotional survival. Many people do not realize how much energy overthinking steals daily. The mind keeps fighting imaginary futures that may never happen. It creates emotional suffering in advance and carries that suffering everywhere. But most of the things people worry about today will eventually disappear. Many fears never happen. Many problems solve themselves naturally with time. Many painful situations become distant memories. Yet people sacrifice years of peace over temporary situations. Buddhism teaches impermanence because impermanence reminds people that everything changes. Thoughts change, emotions change, circumstances change, fear changes. No emotional state lasts forever. But the anxious mind forgets this. It acts as if current stress will last permanently. It treats every difficult situation like the end of the world. This is why awareness matters so much. Awareness reminds people that thoughts are temporary, feelings are temporary, problems are temporary, and life becomes much lighter when you stop emotionally attaching yourself to every anxious thought that appears. Many people mistake overthinking for intelligence. But endless thinking without peace is not wisdom. Wisdom is learning how to think clearly without mentally torturing yourself constantly. The peaceful mind knows when to stop mentally feeding fear. It knows when to let thoughts pass naturally. It knows when rest is more important than endless analysis. Most people have never truly experienced deep inner stillness because the mind has been noisy for so many years. Anxiety becomes so normal that emotional exhaustion starts feeling like part of identity. But Buddhism teaches that beneath all the fear, pressure, and overthinking, peace still exists inside you. The mind simply became too noisy to hear it clearly. Imagine how different your life would feel if your thoughts stopped attacking you constantly. Imagine waking up without immediate fear. Imagine enjoying conversations without replaying them later. Imagine sitting peacefully without your mind endlessly searching for problems. This becomes possible when you stop feeding overthinking every moment of the day. The truth is simple. You cannot fully enjoy life while constantly fighting life inside your mind. Overthinking disconnects people from the present moment. It turns ordinary situations into emotional battles. It keeps people mentally trapped in futures that do not exist yet. But peace returns when the mind slows down again. This is why Buddhism teaches breathing, mindfulness, stillness, and awareness. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because the mind stops creating unnecessary suffering around every imperfect moment. Many people are carrying thoughts they no longer need to carry. Old fears, old regrets, old worries. The mind keeps replaying them endlessly, even when life is trying to move forward. But healing begins when you stop reopening emotional wounds through overthinking. Healing begins when you stop mentally punishing yourself every day. Healing begins when you realize you do not need to solve your entire future tonight. One breath at a time. One moment at a time. One day at a time. That is how peace slowly returns. The anxious mind constantly says, think more, but Buddhism gently teaches something different. Sometimes peace begins the moment you finally stop thinking so much and start fully living instead. Because life is happening now, not inside your endless thoughts. And one day you may realize that the moments you spent overthinking were moments you could have spent actually experiencing your life. So stop mentally turning every situation into suffering. Stop exhausting yourself trying to control every possible future outcome. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Return to the present moment. Because peace begins when the mind finally learns how to let go of endless overthinking and simply exist again. 16. The life you want is hidden behind a peaceful mind. Many people spend their entire lives searching for happiness outside themselves, without realizing that the quality of their life is deeply connected to the condition of their mind. They believe peace will finally arrive after more success, more money, more recognition, more control, or more certainty. But Buddhism teaches a powerful truth most people overlook. When the mind is constantly anxious, restless, and emotionally overwhelmed, even a good life can feel heavy. And when the mind becomes calm, even simple moments begin feeling rich, meaningful, and beautiful again. The anxious mind cannot fully enjoy life because it is always somewhere else, always worrying about tomorrow, always replaying old mistakes, always searching for future danger. Because of this, many people spend years emotionally disconnected from their own existence. They move through life physically present, but mentally trapped inside fear and endless thought. This is one of the saddest effects of anxiety. It prevents people from truly experiencing the life they already have. Buddhism teaches that peace is not something small or weak. Peace changes everything. A peaceful mind changes the way you think, feel, love, react, heal, and experience life itself. When the mind becomes calmer, relationships improve naturally. Decisions become clearer. Problems stop feeling impossible. Emotions become easier to manage. Even ordinary moments begin carrying a deeper sense of beauty and gratitude. But the anxious mind keeps people emotionally trapped. It turns every challenge into catastrophe. It turns uncertainty into fear. It turns ordinary problems into endless suffering. Many people no longer know what true inner calm feels like because their nervous system has been overstimulated for years. Constant pressure, constant comparison, constant information, constant mental noise. Even during peaceful moments, the mind continues creating fear and emotional tension in the background. Modern life rewards mental restlessness. People are taught to constantly chase more, do more, worry more, and think more. Slowing down feels guilty. Silence feels uncomfortable. Rest feels unproductive. Because of this, many people become emotionally exhausted without understanding why. But Buddhism teaches something completely different. It teaches that the peaceful mind is the foundation of a meaningful life. The calmer the mind becomes, the more clearly you begin seeing reality. You stop emotionally reacting to every thought. You stop turning small situations into emotional disasters. You stop mentally fighting life every second of the day. And slowly, life itself starts feeling lighter. Think about how different life feels during moments when your mind becomes quiet. Maybe it happens while watching the sky, sitting peacefully in silence, walking in nature, or spending time with someone you love. During those moments, problems temporarily lose their power. The nervous system relaxes. Breathing softens. Life feels more real again. That feeling is important. Because it reveals something anxiety hides from people constantly. Peace was never hiding somewhere far away. Peace was always connected to the condition of your mind. Many people believe happiness depends entirely on external achievements. But there are people who achieve success, wealth, and recognition while still feeling deeply anxious inside. Why? Because external success cannot fully heal an internally chaotic mind. The anxious mind always finds something new to fear. If it gains money, it fears losing it. If it finds love, it fears abandonment. If life becomes peaceful, it worries about future pain. This is why Buddhism teaches that true freedom begins internally. The peaceful person still experiences life's difficulties, but they stop allowing every difficulty to destroy their inner world completely. They understand that uncertainty is part of being human. Pain is part of being human. Change is part of being human. But mental suffering becomes much lighter when the mind stops resisting reality constantly. Many people waste enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to control things they cannot fully control. Other people's opinions, the future, every possible outcome. They believe if they overthink enough, they can protect themselves from pain. But overthinking rarely creates peace. It mostly creates exhaustion. The anxious mind believes constant worry equals safety. But Buddhism teaches that constant worry only disconnects people from life itself. The truth is that much of life's beauty becomes visible only when the mind slows down. A calm mind notices things anxiety ignores. The warmth of sunlight, the peace of silence, the beauty of ordinary mornings, the comfort of deep breathing after stress, the value of simple conversations, the emotional richness hidden inside small moments. But anxious people often miss these experiences because their thoughts keep pulling them away from the present moment. Many people believe life itself is making them miserable, but often the deeper problem is that the mind has forgotten how to rest. It has forgotten how to simply exist without constantly searching for danger. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to reality again. It teaches people how to stop mentally escaping life through endless overthinking. It teaches people how to return to the present moment where peace actually exists. The anxious mind lives mostly inside imaginary futures. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if something terrible happens? But the peaceful mind learns how to stay grounded inside the present moment instead of emotionally drowning inside imagination. This changes everything. Because many fears lose their power once you stop mentally feeding them constantly. Many people unknowingly build their entire identity around stress and worry. They become so used to anxiety that calmness starts feeling unfamiliar. Even during peaceful moments, the mind searches for new problems because emotional chaos has become normal. But you were not born to live this way. The human mind was not meant to carry endless fear every hour of the day. Buddhism teaches that beneath all the mental noise, there is still a peaceful part of you that anxiety has simply covered over. And when you reconnect with that peaceful part of yourself, life changes deeply. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your relationship with life becomes healthier. You stop emotionally collapsing every time something feels uncertain. You stop mentally carrying every problem all day long. You stop needing complete control before allowing yourself to feel calm. The peaceful mind understands something powerful. Life does not need to become perfect before it can still be beautiful. Many people postpone happiness waiting for some future version of life where all fear disappears. But life will always contain uncertainty. Some days will feel difficult. Some seasons will feel painful. If peace depends entirely on perfect conditions, anxiety will always stay in control. This is why Buddhism teaches acceptance instead of endless resistance. Acceptance does not mean weakness. It means understanding reality clearly, instead of emotionally fighting every uncomfortable experience. The anxious mind constantly says, "This should not be happening. My life should already feel better. I cannot relax until everything is solved." But the peaceful mind says, "This moment still deserves awareness. This life still deserves appreciation. I can experience peace even while life remains imperfect." That shift changes the entire experience of existence. The calmer your mind becomes, the more energy returns to your life. Anxiety drains emotional energy constantly. It steals focus, sleep, joy, creativity, and emotional presence. Many people feel exhausted not because life is impossible, but because their mind never stops attacking them. But when the mind becomes peaceful, the body begins healing too. Breathing slows, sleep improves, the nervous system relaxes, relationships feel less stressful, life stops feeling like constant emotional survival. This is why inner peace matters so deeply, because your outer experience of life is heavily shaped by your inner condition. A peaceful mind experiences life differently than an anxious mind. The peaceful person still faces challenges, but they no longer mentally multiply suffering through endless fear and overthinking. They understand that most problems eventually pass. Most fears eventually fade. Most difficult seasons eventually change. This understanding creates emotional stability. Buddhism teaches impermanence because impermanence reminds people that nothing lasts forever. Not your stress, not your fear, not your current problems. Even painful chapters eventually become memories. But anxious people often suffer twice. First through imagination, then through reality itself, if difficulty actually arrives. This is why awareness matters. Awareness helps people stop creating unnecessary suffering inside their own mind. The peaceful person learns how to pause before emotionally reacting. They learn how to breathe before panicking. They learn how to let thoughts pass without becoming controlled by every fearful story the mind creates. And slowly, freedom grows. Imagine how different your life would feel if anxiety stopped controlling every moment. Imagine waking up without immediate pressure and fear. Imagine enjoying ordinary moments without mentally escaping them. Imagine sitting peacefully without needing constant distraction. This becomes possible when peace becomes more valuable than endless mental chaos. The truth is simple. The life you want is deeply connected to the state of your mind. A fearful mind struggles to enjoy even beautiful experiences, but a peaceful mind can find beauty even inside ordinary life. This is why Buddhism places so much importance on inner stillness, because inner stillness changes the way you experience everything. You stop surviving emotionally every day, and finally begin truly living. One day, your life will end. And when that day comes, you probably will not wish you spent more time worrying. You will wish you felt more present, more peaceful, more alive. You will wish you appreciated simple moments more deeply. You will wish you protected your peace more carefully. Because peace is not weakness. Peace is freedom from constantly fighting yourself inside your own mind. And maybe the beautiful life you have been searching for was never hiding somewhere far away. Maybe it begins the moment your mind finally learns how to become still enough to experience the life already in front of you. 17. Your mind can become either your prison or your freedom. One of the most important truths Buddhism teaches is that the human mind has incredible power. The same mind that creates peace can also create suffering. The same mind that helps you feel grateful and alive can also trap you inside fear, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. Many people spend their whole lives believing the outside world is the main reason they suffer, but often the deeper struggle is happening inside their own mind. Your mind can either become your prison or your freedom, depending on how you train it. Most people never learn how to manage their thoughts. Because of this, they become controlled by every emotion, every fear, and every anxious idea that enters their head. If the mind says something terrible might happen, they immediately believe it. If the mind creates insecurity, they emotionally collapse into it. If the mind replays painful memories, they relive the suffering again and again. Slowly, the mind becomes a prison full of fear, overthinking, pressure, and emotional chaos. Buddhism teaches that suffering grows when people become unconscious of their thoughts. Many people move through life completely controlled by mental patterns they never question. They wake up anxious, think anxiously all day, sleep anxiously at night, and after years of this cycle they begin believing anxiety is simply who they are. But Buddhism teaches something powerful. You are not every thought your mind creates. Thoughts appear constantly, but not every thought is truth. The anxious mind creates endless fearful stories. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if my future falls apart? What if something terrible happens? The mind keeps imagining painful situations over and over until fear starts feeling like reality itself. But most of these fears never happen the way the mind predicts. Still, people emotionally suffer as if the imagined disaster is already real. This is how the mind becomes a prison. Not because reality is always terrible, but because fear constantly controls the inner world. Many people are physically free but mentally trapped. They cannot relax because their thoughts never stop attacking them. They cannot enjoy peaceful moments because anxiety immediately interrupts them. Even during good seasons of life, the mind keeps searching for future danger. The nervous system becomes exhausted because the mind never allows true rest. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness weakens the prison anxiety creates. Awareness helps people observe their thoughts instead of automatically becoming controlled by them. It creates space between the thought and the emotional reaction. This changes everything, because once you become aware of your mind, you begin realizing how much suffering is created internally. You begin noticing how often the mind exaggerates problems, how often it predicts disaster, how often it turns uncertainty into emotional suffering. The peaceful person still experiences difficult thoughts, but they stop emotionally attaching themselves to every fear that appears. This is where freedom begins. Many people believe freedom means controlling the outside world completely. But Buddhism teaches that true freedom begins internally. A person can have success, money, and external comfort while still living inside a mentally anxious prison. And another person may live a simple life while feeling emotionally peaceful because their inner world is calm. Your experience of life is deeply shaped by your mind. If the mind is constantly fearful, life feels dangerous. If the mind is constantly comparing, life feels empty. If the mind is constantly overthinking, life feels exhausting. But when the mind becomes peaceful, life itself begins feeling softer and more meaningful. Many people unknowingly feed their mental prison every day. They constantly consume negativity, replay painful memories, compare themselves to others online, feed fear through endless overthinking. Their mind becomes overwhelmed because it is constantly absorbing emotional poison. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness interrupts these unhealthy mental patterns. It teaches people how to stop unconsciously feeding suffering every day. The truth is that whatever you repeatedly feed inside your mind slowly becomes stronger. Feed fear, and anxiety grows stronger. Feed gratitude, and peace grows stronger. Feed overthinking, and emotional exhaustion grows stronger. Feed awareness, and freedom grows stronger. Many people are emotionally trapped because they never learned how to sit peacefully with themselves. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels strange. The mind constantly searches for distraction because deep down it is afraid of facing itself. Modern life encourages this constantly. Endless scrolling, endless stimulation, endless noise. People rarely allow their mind to rest anymore. Even during moments of silence, they immediately reach for distraction because being alone with their thoughts feels overwhelming. But Buddhism teaches that healing begins when you stop running from your own mind and begin understanding it instead. The anxious mind constantly lives in the future. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose everything? What if I cannot handle life? But the peaceful mind slowly learns a different truth. You do not need complete certainty to feel calm. You only need presence. You only need awareness. You only need the ability to handle life one moment at a time, instead of carrying the entire future inside your head every day. Many people emotionally destroy themselves by trying to mentally control things that were never fully controllable. Other people's opinions, future outcomes, uncertainty itself. They overthink, constantly hoping they can avoid pain. But endless worry rarely protects people. It mostly steals peace from the present moment. This is why Buddhism teaches acceptance instead of endless resistance. Acceptance does not mean weakness or giving up. It means understanding reality clearly, without emotionally fighting every uncomfortable experience. Life contains uncertainty. Life contains change. Life contains pain. But the more you mentally resist these truths, the more trapped the mind becomes. The peaceful person understands that some things must simply be experienced, not controlled endlessly through fear. This understanding creates inner freedom. Many people stay trapped in old pain because the mind keeps reopening emotional wounds. A painful memory happens once, but the mind relives it thousands of times through overthinking. Anxiety keeps the suffering alive long after the original moment has ended. But Buddhism teaches impermanence. Everything changes. Thoughts change. Emotions change. Pain changes. Fear changes. Nothing remains forever. The anxious mind forgets this and behaves as if current suffering will last permanently. But life is constantly moving. Difficult seasons pass. Emotions soften. Situations evolve. The peaceful mind learns how to trust this natural flow instead of panicking every time life feels uncertain. This is one of the deepest forms of freedom. Not freedom from all pain, but freedom from constantly being controlled by pain. Many people think peace means never experiencing negative emotions again. But Buddhism does not teach emotional numbness. It teaches emotional awareness. The peaceful person still feels sadness, fear, uncertainty, and difficulty, but they stop allowing every emotion to completely control their identity. They stop becoming prisoners of temporary feelings. The anxious mind says, "This fear is who I am." The peaceful mind says, "This fear is temporary." That awareness creates emotional space, and inside that space, freedom slowly grows. Imagine how different life would feel if your mind stopped attacking you constantly. Imagine waking up without immediate fear controlling your thoughts. Imagine enjoying silence without discomfort. Imagine facing uncertainty without emotionally collapsing every time life becomes difficult. This becomes possible when awareness grows stronger than fear. The mind can absolutely become peaceful again. But peace requires training. Just like anxiety was strengthened through years of fearful thinking, peace is strengthened through awareness, stillness, mindfulness, and emotional discipline. Buddhism teaches people how to train the mind instead of becoming enslaved by it. Because an untrained mind creates suffering automatically. It overthinks automatically. It compares automatically. It fears automatically. But a trained mind becomes calmer, wiser, and more stable. The peaceful person understands that thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. Some thoughts are dark. Some thoughts are fearful. But they do not need to emotionally attach themselves to every cloud that passes overhead. They learn how to observe thoughts without becoming consumed by them. This changes the entire experience of life, because once the mind becomes calmer, ordinary moments become meaningful again. You stop mentally escaping every moment through endless fear. You begin feeling emotionally present. You begin appreciating life while it is still happening. Many people are waiting for life to finally become peaceful externally. But Buddhism teaches that external life may always contain uncertainty. True freedom begins when the inner world becomes calm, despite uncertainty. That is real strength, not controlling every situation, but remaining internally grounded while life continues changing around you. One day, you will realize how much power your mind has over your experience of life. The same mind that creates suffering can also create peace. The same mind that traps you can also free you. And maybe the greatest freedom a human being can experience is finally reaching the point where fear no longer controls every thought, every emotion, and every moment of life. Because beneath all the overthinking, anxiety, and emotional noise, there is still a peaceful version of you waiting to be remembered. A version of you that is not constantly fighting life. A version of you that knows how to breathe deeply again. A version of you that knows how to sit peacefully inside the present moment. That version of you still exists. And the moment you stop feeding fear constantly, that peaceful part of you slowly begins returning home again. 18. The less you fear life, the more alive you become. Many people are alive physically, but emotionally they stopped truly living a long time ago. Fear slowly took control of their mind. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing people, fear of making mistakes, fear of uncertainty. Because of this, they spend most of their life mentally protecting themselves instead of fully experiencing life itself. Buddhism teaches that anxiety often becomes a cage that keeps people from truly feeling free, peaceful, and alive. The anxious mind constantly believes danger is everywhere. It turns uncertainty into emotional suffering. It overthinks every decision. It fears embarrassment, judgment, loss, and change. Because of this, many people slowly stop taking emotional risks. They stop trusting life. They stop trusting themselves. They become trapped inside safety, routine, and mental fear, while secretly feeling empty inside. One of the saddest things about anxiety is that it does not only create suffering, it also steals possibility. It steals courage. It steals spontaneity. It steals the ability to fully enjoy the present moment. Fear quietly convinces people to stay emotionally small because the mind believes avoiding discomfort is the safest way to live. But Buddhism teaches something deeper. A life controlled entirely by fear is not true peace. It is emotional imprisonment. Many people spend years trying to avoid pain, but in the process they accidentally avoid life itself. They stop expressing themselves honestly, stop chasing dreams they care about, stop opening their heart fully, stop trusting new experiences. They become so focused on avoiding suffering that they forget life was meant to be experienced deeply. The anxious mind constantly asks, "What if something goes wrong?" But the peaceful mind eventually learns to ask, "What if life becomes beautiful the moment I stop fearing everything so much?" That question changes everything. Because often the problem is not life itself. The problem is the constant fear surrounding life. Many people believe anxiety protects them. They think if they stay careful enough, worried enough, and mentally prepared enough, they can avoid disappointment completely. But Buddhism teaches that no human being can avoid all pain. Loss is part of life. Uncertainty is part of life. Change is part of life. The more you mentally fight these truths, the more exhausted you become. True peace does not come from eliminating all uncertainty. Peace comes from no longer allowing uncertainty to completely control your inner world. Many people are emotionally tired because their nervous system never truly relaxes. The mind keeps preparing for disaster constantly. Even during calm moments, anxiety whispers fearful possibilities in the background. A peaceful relationship becomes fear of abandonment. Success becomes fear of failure. Happiness becomes fear of losing it. The anxious mind struggles to enjoy life because it constantly expects something bad to happen next. But Buddhism teaches impermanence in a completely different way. Instead of using impermanence as a reason to fear life, Buddhism teaches it as a reason to appreciate life more deeply. Because everything changes, every moment becomes precious. Because nothing lasts forever, every peaceful moment matters. Because life is temporary, love matters more. Presence matters more. Awareness matters more. Many people wait too long before realizing this. They spend years trapped inside fear only to later understand that life was quietly passing by while their mind remained distracted. One day, they suddenly noticed time moved much faster than they expected. Entire chapters disappeared. People changed. Opportunities disappeared. And much of the emotional suffering they carried daily was unnecessary. This is why Buddhism constantly teaches people to wake up from unconscious fear before life disappears. The anxious mind constantly says, "Protect yourself. Do not trust life. Do not relax. Do not feel too deeply." But the peaceful mind slowly learns something powerful. Life becomes meaningful when you stop trying to emotionally hide from it all the time. Many people are not exhausted because life is impossible. They are exhausted because they are constantly mentally resisting life, resisting uncertainty, resisting change, resisting difficult emotions, resisting the natural flow of life itself. Buddhism teaches that much suffering comes from this resistance. The more tightly people try to control life, the heavier life feels emotionally. But when the mind softens, when awareness grows, and when fear stops controlling every decision, something changes inside. Life begins feeling more open again. Breathing feels easier again. Simple moments feel meaningful again. You stop living entirely inside survival mode. Many people are afraid to slow down because silence forces them to face their own mind. So they stay distracted constantly. Endless scrolling, endless noise, endless stimulation. But beneath all the distraction, the anxious mind remains exhausted because distraction cannot create true peace. Only awareness creates peace. Only presence creates peace. Only learning how to stop mentally running from life creates peace. The peaceful person is not someone who never feels fear. Buddhism does not teach emotional numbness. Fear still appears sometimes. Pain still appears sometimes. But the peaceful person stops allowing fear to control their entire existence. They stop building their whole life around avoiding discomfort. This is where freedom begins. Many people unknowingly shrink their life because of anxiety. They avoid opportunities because they fear failure, avoid honesty because they fear judgment, avoid change because uncertainty scares them. Over time, life becomes emotionally smaller and smaller because fear controls every decision. But Buddhism teaches courage through awareness. Not aggressive courage, not reckless courage, but quiet inner courage. The courage to remain open to life even when uncertainty exists. The courage to experience life fully instead of constantly hiding emotionally from it. The courage to trust that you can survive difficult moments without mentally collapsing every time fear appears. This changes the entire experience of life. Because once fear stops controlling every thought, people begin feeling emotionally alive again. Simple moments become exciting again. Peaceful moments become enjoyable again. The future stops feeling like constant danger. Many people think freedom means controlling external life completely, but Buddhism teaches that true freedom begins internally. A person can live inside external comfort while still feeling mentally imprisoned by fear. And another person can live a simple life while feeling emotionally free, because their mind is calm. The anxious mind constantly tries to predict life. But life cannot be fully predicted, and trying to mentally control every possible future outcome only creates deeper suffering. One of the most powerful realizations in Buddhism is understanding that life becomes lighter when you stop demanding certainty from it. You do not need all the answers today. You do not need guarantees about tomorrow. You only need enough awareness to live this moment fully. The more present you become, the less fear controls you, because fear mostly lives inside imagined futures. What if I fail later? What if I lose everything later? What if life goes wrong later? But life is happening now. This breath is happening now. This moment is happening now. And anxiety steals life by constantly pulling people away from the present moment. Many people are so focused on avoiding future pain that they fail to notice current beauty. The beauty of silence, the beauty of connection, the beauty of ordinary mornings, the beauty of simply being alive. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to these moments again. It reminds people that life is not waiting somewhere far away in the future. Life is already unfolding right now. The anxious mind turns life into survival. The peaceful mind turns life into experience. That difference changes everything. Many people believe happiness exists only after achieving more. But often, happiness becomes visible when fear finally quiets down enough for the mind to notice what already exists. A calm evening, a meaningful conversation, a deep breath after stress, a moment of silence without anxiety. These things matter more than people realize. But fear constantly distracts people from them. This is why inner peace is so valuable, because peace allows people to experience life directly instead of constantly filtering life through anxiety. The more fear controls the mind, the smaller life feels. The more awareness controls the mind, the more alive life feels. Many people are waiting for fear to disappear completely before they allow themselves to truly live. But Buddhism teaches something deeper. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is learning how to live fully even while uncertainty exists. The peaceful person understands that life will never become perfectly predictable. Some days will hurt, some moments will feel difficult, some seasons will feel uncertain. But life still deserves to be experienced deeply despite this. Because one day everything changes. One day the current version of your life disappears. One day these ordinary moments become memories. And when that day comes, you probably will not wish you spent more time worrying. You will wish you felt more alive, more present, more connected, more free. This is why Buddhism teaches people to stop fearing life so much. Because fear steals time. Fear steals peace. Fear steals emotional presence. But awareness gives life back again. Imagine how different your life would feel if fear stopped controlling every decision. Imagine not constantly preparing for disaster. Imagine allowing yourself to fully experience peaceful moments without immediately expecting pain afterward. That is what inner freedom feels like. Not controlling life perfectly, but finally feeling emotionally safe enough to live it fully. The truth is simple. The less you fear life, the more alive you become, because life was never meant to be survived only through anxiety and emotional protection. It was meant to be experienced, felt deeply, lived fully, and appreciated while it is still here. 19. Stop destroying your present moment by fear of the future. One of the greatest ways people destroy their peace is by constantly living inside the future instead of the present moment. Their body may be here today, but their mind is somewhere else completely. Thinking about tomorrow, preparing for future problems, imagining painful situations that have not even happened yet. Buddhism teaches that anxiety grows stronger when people become emotionally trapped inside imagined futures instead of fully experiencing the life unfolding in front of them. The anxious mind constantly believes something bad is about to happen. Even during calm moments, it searches for future danger. It asks endless questions. What if I fail? What if life gets worse? What if I lose everything? What if people leave me? Because of this constant fear, many people are never truly relaxed. Their nervous system stays tense almost all the time because the mind never allows itself to feel safe. Many people think worrying about the future protects them. They believe overthinking somehow prepares them for pain. But most of the time, anxiety only steals peace from the present moment. People mentally suffer over situations that may never happen. They create emotional pain in advance and carry that fear every day as if the disaster already arrived. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism. Most suffering exists inside the mind long before it exists in reality. The future itself is not always the problem. The problem is the endless fear surrounding the future. Many people spend years emotionally exhausted because their mind constantly lives ahead of reality. Instead of enjoying today, they mentally carry tomorrow's problems before tomorrow even arrives. They wake up already stressed about things that do not yet exist. Their mind keeps creating pressure over imagined futures until anxiety becomes their normal emotional state. But Buddhism teaches something powerful. Life can only be lived in the present moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. This moment is where your actual life exists. Yet many people rarely experience this moment fully because fear keeps pulling their attention away from it. Think about how many peaceful moments anxiety already stole from you. Moments that could have felt calm, meaningful, and beautiful if your mind had simply slowed down enough to experience them fully. A peaceful evening ruined by future worries, time with loved ones interrupted by overthinking, a quiet morning destroyed by fear about tomorrow. This is how anxiety steals life quietly. Not always through dramatic suffering, but through constant emotional distraction. The anxious mind believes peace must wait until the future becomes certain. But Buddhism teaches that certainty is impossible. Life will always contain unknowns. There will always be change, challenges, and uncertainty. If you keep waiting for perfect certainty before allowing yourself to feel calm, you may spend your entire life emotionally waiting. Many people do not realize how much fear controls their relationship with life. Fear controls their decisions, their emotions, their sleep, their relationships, their ability to enjoy peaceful moments. Even when nothing bad is happening, the mind keeps preparing for future disaster. Because of this, people stop trusting life. They stop trusting themselves. And slowly, anxiety becomes a permanent emotional background noise. Buddhism teaches awareness because awareness reconnects people to reality instead of imagination. The present moment is often much softer than the future scenarios anxiety creates. But people rarely notice this because their mind is constantly somewhere else. Many fears lose their power once you stop feeding them constantly. The anxious mind exaggerates uncertainty. It treats imagined future problems as if they are already happening. But the peaceful mind learns how to stay grounded in what is actually real right now. Right now, many fears exist only inside thought. Right now, much of the suffering exists only inside imagination. But anxiety keeps making those imaginary futures feel emotionally real. This is why the nervous system becomes exhausted. The body reacts to imagined danger repeatedly until emotional exhaustion appears. Modern life makes this even worse. Constant bad news, endless comparison online, endless pressure to succeed. The human mind rarely experiences silence anymore. People are constantly mentally stimulated, constantly planning, constantly worrying. Because of this, many people feel emotionally overwhelmed all the time, without understanding why. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness interrupts this endless cycle of mental time travel. It teaches people how to return their attention back to the present moment again and again. Breathing slowly, feeling the body, noticing the environment, experiencing life directly instead of constantly escaping into thought. These simple practices matter deeply because they calm the nervous system and reconnect people to reality. Many people are not anxious because the present moment is unbearable. They are anxious because the mind constantly lives inside imagined futures. The anxious mind says, "What if everything goes wrong?" The peaceful mind says, "I will face life one moment at a time." That difference changes the entire experience of life. Because peace does not come from controlling the future perfectly. Peace comes from no longer needing complete certainty to feel calm. Many people believe they must mentally prepare for every possible painful outcome. But no amount of overthinking can fully protect human beings from life. Pain will sometimes appear. Loss will sometimes appear. Difficult seasons will sometimes appear. This is part of being human. But constantly suffering in advance does not reduce future pain. It only destroys present peace. Buddhism teaches acceptance, because acceptance softens fear. Acceptance means understanding that uncertainty is natural. Life changes constantly. People change constantly. Situations evolve constantly. The more tightly people try to mentally control everything, the more anxious they become. The peaceful person learns how to stop mentally fighting uncertainty every second of the day. They stop demanding guarantees from life. They stop needing complete control before allowing themselves to feel alive. And slowly, the mind becomes lighter. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they are carrying futures that do not even exist yet. They mentally live years ahead of reality. They worry about problems before problems arrive. They create emotional suffering long before anything actually happens. But Buddhism teaches simplicity, one breath at a time, one moment at a time, one day at a time. That is how peace grows. The anxious mind wants to solve the entire future immediately. But the human mind was never designed to carry that much emotional weight constantly. Imagine carrying tomorrow's pain today, next year's fear today, and future uncertainty every hour of your current life. Of course, the nervous system becomes overwhelmed, but peace returns when you stop carrying the future all at once. Many people think slowing down means becoming weak or irresponsible, but Buddhism teaches that slowing down reconnects people to reality. The mind becomes clearer, emotions become calmer, problems stop feeling gigantic. Life feels more manageable because awareness returns to the present moment instead of staying trapped inside imagined futures. One of the saddest truths about anxiety is that it prevents people from fully appreciating life while life is still happening. People are so focused on surviving the future that they fail to notice the beauty already surrounding them now. A calm morning, a meaningful conversation, a moment of silence, the people they love, the simple experience of being alive. These things matter more than anxious people realize. But fear constantly distracts them from these moments. Buddhism teaches impermanence because impermanence reminds people how temporary everything truly is. One day, the moments you are living right now will become memories. The people around you will change. This chapter of life will disappear. Even your current worries will eventually fade away. But the time anxiety steals can never return. This is why awareness matters so deeply. Because awareness helps people wake up before life disappears. The peaceful person understands something powerful. The future deserves preparation, but not emotional imprisonment. You can care about tomorrow without mentally destroying today. You can plan responsibly without living in constant fear. You can work toward goals without emotionally abandoning the present moment. This balance creates freedom. Many people mistakenly believe peace exists somewhere in the future, but Buddhism teaches that peace is experienced now or not at all. The future eventually becomes another present moment. If the mind never learns how to be peaceful now, anxiety will simply continue repeating itself later. The truth is simple. The anxious mind keeps postponing life. I will relax later. I will enjoy life later. I will feel peace later. But life keeps moving while people emotionally wait. One day they suddenly realize years disappeared while their mind stayed trapped inside fear. This is why Buddhism teaches presence. Because presence reconnects people to the only place where life actually exists. Here. Now. This moment matters. This breath matters. This ordinary day matters. Many people are mentally absent from their own life because they are too busy fearing future pain. But one day, the future they feared so much will arrive and pass too. Then, another future will appear. Then another. Life never stops changing. This is why peace cannot depend on controlling every future outcome. Peace must come from learning how to remain internally grounded, despite uncertainty. That is true emotional freedom. Imagine how different life would feel if you stopped mentally sacrificing today for tomorrow's fears. Imagine waking up without immediately feeding anxiety. Imagine enjoying simple moments without constantly preparing for disaster afterward. This becomes possible when awareness becomes stronger than fear, when presence becomes more important than endless mental time travel, when you finally realize that much of the suffering destroying your peace exists only inside imagination. One day, you will look back at your life and realize how many beautiful moments anxiety tried to steal from you. Do not let fear steal even more time. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Return to this moment, because your life is happening now, not inside the endless future scenarios your anxious mind keeps creating. 20. One calm mind can change your entire life. Many people spend years trying to change their outer life without realizing that the real transformation begins inside the mind. They believe happiness depends only on external success, money, relationships, or perfect circumstances. But Buddhism teaches a deeper truth. When the mind is anxious, restless, and emotionally overwhelmed, even a beautiful life can feel heavy. And when the mind becomes calm, even ordinary life begins feeling meaningful, peaceful, and alive again. A calm mind changes everything. It changes the way you wake up in the morning. It changes the way you handle problems. It changes the way you experience relationships. It changes the way you react to uncertainty. It changes the way you feel inside your own body. Most people underestimate how much their mind shapes their entire experience of life. The anxious mind sees danger everywhere. It constantly expects problems, rejection, failure, and loss. Because of this, even peaceful moments become difficult to enjoy. The nervous system stays trapped in emotional survival mode almost all the time. Many people have forgotten what true calmness feels like. Their thoughts never stop. Their emotions never fully settle. Even during moments of rest, the mind continues creating pressure and fear. Buddhism teaches that this is not how human beings were meant to live. You were not born to spend every day mentally exhausted. You were not born to constantly fear life. You were not born to emotionally suffer inside endless overthinking. But modern life trains people to live exactly this way. Constant comparison, constant pressure, constant stimulation, constant worrying about the future. The mind becomes overwhelmed because it never gets silence anymore. Even moments of rest become filled with mental noise. This is why so many people feel emotionally disconnected from life itself. The anxious mind constantly rushes through everything. It keeps saying hurry, prepare, do more, worry more, think more. Because of this, people stop noticing the life happening around them. They stop noticing peaceful mornings, meaningful conversations, quiet moments, simple beauty. The calm mind notices these things again. That is why inner peace is so powerful. Many people believe a calm mind means a life without problems. But Buddhism never promises a perfect life. Difficult moments will always exist. Uncertainty will always exist. Pain will always exist. The difference is that the peaceful mind stops turning every difficulty into emotional catastrophe. The anxious mind reacts to everything immediately. A small problem becomes disaster. A small rejection becomes emotional collapse. A temporary difficult season becomes hopelessness. But the calm mind responds differently. It pauses, breathes, observes. And because of this awareness, life becomes lighter. Many people are suffering more from their thoughts about life than from life itself. The mind constantly creates stories. Stories about failure, stories about rejection, stories about future pain. And over time, people start believing every fearful thought their mind creates. But Buddhism teaches that thoughts are not always truth. Just because the mind creates fear does not mean fear reflects reality. This awareness changes everything. Because once you stop emotionally attaching yourself to every anxious thought, the mind slowly becomes quieter. And when the mind becomes quieter, life begins feeling different. The body relaxes, breathing softens, sleep improves, relationships become healthier, ordinary moments become meaningful again. This is the power of a calm mind. Many people are searching everywhere for happiness while carrying chaos inside themselves. But external achievements alone cannot fully heal an anxious inner world. Someone can achieve success and still feel emotionally exhausted because the mind never stops creating fear. The anxious mind always finds a new reason to suffer. If life becomes stable, it fears instability. If relationships become peaceful, it fears loss. If happiness appears, it fears it will disappear. Because anxiety is not always connected to reality. Often, anxiety is connected to the habit of fearful thinking itself. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness interrupts these unconscious mental patterns. It teaches people how to stop living entirely inside fear and thought. It teaches people how to return to the present moment where peace actually exists. The present moment is often much calmer than the anxious mind believes. Right now, many fears exist only inside imagination. Right now, much suffering exists only inside thought. But the mind keeps replaying future disasters until emotional exhaustion appears. This is why the nervous system becomes so tired. People are mentally fighting imaginary futures all day long. The calm mind stops doing this constantly, not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because awareness becomes stronger than fear. Many people think peace comes after controlling life perfectly. But Buddhism teaches something deeper. Peace begins when you stop needing complete control to feel calm. That realization changes everything, because life has never been fully controllable. People change, situations change, plans fail, unexpected moments happen. The anxious mind resists this reality constantly, but the calm mind learns how to move with life instead of mentally fighting every uncertain moment. This creates emotional freedom. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they carry every problem all day long. Even after situations end, the mind keeps replaying them repeatedly. Old conversations, old mistakes, old fears. Anxiety keeps reopening emotional wounds long after the moment has passed. But the calm mind learns how to let situations pass naturally. It stops feeding painful thoughts endlessly. It stops mentally punishing itself every day. This is one of the deepest forms of healing. Many people do not realize how much life changes once the mind becomes calmer. Food tastes better. Silence feels peaceful instead of uncomfortable. Nature feels healing. Conversations feel deeper. Time with loved ones feels more meaningful because the mind is finally present enough to fully experience life. The anxious mind disconnects people from these moments, but the calm mind reconnects people to life again. This is why Buddhism teaches presence so deeply, because presence transforms ordinary life. Many people spend years mentally escaping the present moment, always worrying about tomorrow, always regretting yesterday. But life can only be experienced now. This breath, this moment, this ordinary day. These things matter more than people realize. The calm mind understands this. The anxious mind keeps postponing happiness. I will relax later. I will enjoy life later. I will feel peace after everything becomes perfect. But life never becomes perfectly predictable. There will always be uncertainty, always change, always responsibilities. If peace depends entirely on external perfection, anxiety will always control your life. But the calm mind understands something different. You can still experience peace inside imperfect seasons of life. You can still appreciate ordinary moments while healing. You can still feel gratitude while carrying responsibilities. That is emotional maturity. That is inner stability. Many people think calmness is weakness because the world often rewards stress and constant pressure. But Buddhism teaches that calmness is strength. A calm person thinks more clearly, handles pain more wisely, makes better decisions, responds instead of reacts. The calm mind is powerful because it no longer allows every problem to destroy inner peace completely. This is why inner peace changes life so deeply, because life is experienced through the mind. If the mind is chaotic, life feels chaotic. If the mind is fearful, life feels dangerous. If the mind is peaceful, life feels softer and more meaningful. One calm mind can completely change the experience of being alive. Imagine waking up without immediate anxiety controlling your thoughts. Imagine enjoying silence instead of fearing it. Imagine not mentally preparing for disaster every moment. Imagine feeling emotionally present with people you love. Imagine no longer turning every small problem into endless suffering. This is possible when awareness becomes stronger than fear, when peace becomes more valuable than overthinking, when the mind finally learns how to rest again. Buddhism teaches that beneath all the noise, pressure, anxiety and emotional exhaustion, there is still a peaceful part of you waiting to return. A part of you that is not constantly afraid. A part of you that knows how to breathe deeply again. A part of you that remembers how to experience life without mentally fighting it every second of the day. That peaceful part of you still exists. It simply became buried under years of fear and mental noise. But the moment you stop feeding anxiety constantly, that calmness slowly begins returning. And as the mind becomes calmer, life changes naturally. Not because reality suddenly becomes perfect, but because your relationship with reality becomes healthier. The truth is simple. One calm mind can change your entire life, because the mind shapes the way you experience everything. And maybe the peace you have been searching for was never hiding somewhere far away. Maybe it begins the moment your mind finally becomes quiet enough to notice that life was already happening beautifully around you all along. 21. Happiness begins the moment you stop mentally chasing everything. Many people spend their entire lives chasing something, chasing success, chasing validation, chasing certainty, chasing money, chasing relationships, chasing future happiness. Their mind never truly rests because it constantly believes peace exists somewhere ahead. Buddhism teaches that this endless chasing is one of the biggest causes of human suffering. The anxious mind always believes the next achievement, the next relationship, or the next future moment will finally create lasting peace. But even after reaching those things, the mind often continues searching for more. This is why so many people feel emotionally exhausted. Their entire life becomes a constant mental chase, always wanting more, always fearing loss, always worrying about what comes next. Because of this, they rarely experience true contentment. The anxious mind constantly says, "I will finally relax after this. I will finally feel enough after this. I will finally enjoy life later." But later keeps moving further away. One goal is achieved, and another pressure appears. One problem disappears, and another worry replaces it. One desire is fulfilled, and the mind immediately creates another craving. Buddhism teaches that the mind creates suffering when it becomes endlessly attached to chasing external things for inner peace. This does not mean goals are wrong. This does not mean success is wrong. It means peace cannot depend entirely on constantly achieving more. Because if happiness only exists in the future, people will spend their entire life emotionally abandoning the present moment. Many people unknowingly sacrifice their current peace trying to create a perfect future. They overwork themselves constantly, compare themselves endlessly, mentally pressure themselves every day. Even when life gives them peaceful moments, the mind refuses to relax because it is already chasing the next thing. This creates deep emotional exhaustion. The nervous system never truly rests. The heart never fully feels content. The mind keeps running endlessly. Buddhism teaches that happiness begins when the mind learns how to stop chasing constantly and finally become present. Many people believe they are unhappy because they lack something externally. But often, they are unhappy because the mind never allows itself to feel satisfied internally. Think about how often the anxious mind ignores what already exists. It focuses only on what is missing, what has not happened yet, what could go wrong, what still needs to be achieved. Because of this, people fail to appreciate the life they already have, while constantly chasing another version of life in the future. This is one of the saddest ways anxiety steals peace. It convinces people that this moment is never enough, that this life is never enough, that they themselves are never enough. But Buddhism teaches gratitude, because gratitude interrupts this endless mental chasing. Gratitude brings the mind back into the present moment. It reminds people that peace is not always found by gaining more. Sometimes peace appears when you finally slow down enough to appreciate what already exists. A calm morning, a healthy body, a meaningful conversation, a quiet moment without pressure. Simple things become valuable again once the mind stops constantly running toward the future. Many people have forgotten how to simply enjoy life without mentally turning everything into pressure. Even hobbies become stress. Relationships become fear. Goals become emotional burden. The mind constantly feels rushed because it believes happiness is always somewhere else. But the peaceful mind learns something different. This moment matters too. This ordinary day matters too. Life is not only happening after success arrives. Life is happening now. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because mindfulness reconnects people to the present moment instead of endless mental chasing. The more present you become, the less emotional control future desires have over you. Many people are emotionally addicted to the next achievement, the next relationship, the next stage of life. But life quietly disappears while the mind keeps running ahead. One day, people suddenly realize years passed while they were emotionally waiting for happiness to finally begin. This is why Buddhism constantly teaches awareness. Because awareness wakes people up before life disappears completely. The anxious mind always believes peace will come after everything becomes perfect. But life will never stay perfectly stable forever. There will always be uncertainty, always change, always challenges. If happiness depends entirely on external perfection, anxiety will always remain in control. The peaceful person understands something powerful. You can still experience peace while life remains imperfect. You can still appreciate simple moments while carrying responsibilities. You can still feel grateful while healing emotionally. That understanding changes everything. Because once the mind stops chasing constantly, life becomes softer. The nervous system relaxes, breathing deepens. Ordinary moments feel meaningful again. Many people think slowing down means losing ambition. But Buddhism does not teach laziness or emotional passivity. It teaches balance. You can still work hard toward meaningful goals without emotionally destroying yourself through endless pressure and comparison. The problem is not having goals. The problem is believing peace only exists after reaching them. That belief creates suffering because the anxious mind constantly postpones happiness into the future. I will finally feel calm later. I will finally rest later. I will finally enjoy life later. But later keeps moving, and life keeps disappearing while people emotionally wait. Many people become trapped inside achievement addiction. No matter what they accomplish, it never feels enough because the mind immediately creates another desire. This creates a painful cycle where people constantly chase external things, hoping they will finally feel internally complete. But Buddhism teaches that inner peace cannot be fully built through endless external chasing. A peaceful mind learns how to appreciate the journey instead of emotionally sacrificing every moment for some future destination. Many people cannot enjoy success because anxiety immediately creates fear afterward. Fear of losing it, fear of failure, fear of not being enough anymore. This is why external success alone cannot fully heal an anxious mind. The anxious mind always finds another reason to suffer, but the calm mind slowly learns how to rest, how to breathe, how to stop emotionally chasing every possible future outcome. This creates emotional freedom. Think about how much energy endless chasing steals from people. Constant comparison destroys peace. Constant pressure destroys joy. Constantly trying to prove your worth emotionally exhausts the soul. Many people no longer know how to feel content because the mind has been trained to constantly seek more. But Buddhism teaches simplicity, not because life should become empty, but because simplicity allows the mind to rest again. The peaceful person understands that happiness often lives inside small moments most anxious people overlook. Watching the sky peacefully, laughing deeply with someone you love, drinking tea in silence, walking without mentally rushing somewhere else, feeling emotionally present during ordinary life. These moments matter deeply, but the anxious mind misses them because it is always emotionally chasing something ahead. Many people believe happiness will finally begin after reaching a certain future. But when that future arrives, the mind often remains restless because inner peace was never developed internally. This is why Buddhism focuses so much on awareness and inner stillness, because true peace begins inside the mind first. The calmer the mind becomes, the less desperate it feels for external things to create happiness constantly. This does not mean becoming emotionless or ambitionless. It means no longer making your peace completely dependent on constantly getting more. Many people are mentally exhausted because they are carrying endless emotional pressure every day. Pressure to succeed, pressure to compare, pressure to become perfect, pressure to control the future. But peace returns when the mind finally realizes it does not need to chase constantly to feel alive. The anxious mind turns life into endless pursuit. The peaceful mind turns life into experience. That difference changes the entire experience of being human. Buddhism teaches impermanence because impermanence reminds people how quickly life moves. One day, your current chapter will disappear. One day, the things you are chasing today may no longer even matter. One day, many ordinary moments you overlook now may become memories you deeply miss later. This awareness changes priorities. Suddenly, peace matters more. Presence matters more. Relationships matter more. Simple moments matter more. Because people finally realize life is not only about endlessly becoming more, it is also about learning how to fully experience what already exists. Many people are emotionally absent from their own life because their mind constantly lives somewhere else. Always chasing, always planning, always worrying. But life can only be experienced now, not after perfection arrives, not after every goal is achieved. Now, this moment is your life too. The peaceful mind understands this deeply, That is why it becomes calmer. It stops rushing constantly. It stops mentally rejecting the present moment. It stops turning life into endless emotional pressure. And slowly, happiness begins appearing naturally again, not because reality suddenly became perfect, but because the mind finally stopped running away from life long enough to experience it. Imagine how different your life would feel if your mind became quieter. Imagine not constantly needing more to feel enough. Imagine being able to sit peacefully without mentally chasing another future version of happiness. This is what Buddhism tries to teach. That happiness is not always hiding somewhere far away. Sometimes happiness begins the moment the mind finally learns how to stop chasing everything and simply become fully present inside the life already unfolding right now. Life is too short to spend it trapped inside constant anxiety. Buddhism teaches that most suffering is not created only by life itself, but by the way the mind reacts to life. The endless overthinking, the constant fear of the future, the emotional resistance to uncertainty, the habit of mentally turning every small problem into suffering. Many people lose years of peace because their mind never truly learns how to rest. But peace becomes possible the moment you begin changing your relationship with your thoughts. You do not need to control everything to feel calm. You do not need perfect certainty to enjoy life. You do not need to solve your entire future tonight. The more present you become, the less power anxiety has over your life. The more you stop feeding fear every day, the lighter your mind becomes. And the calmer your mind becomes, the more beauty you begin noticing inside ordinary life. A peaceful morning, a quiet breath, a meaningful conversation, a simple moment of silence. These things matter more than people realize. One day, your life will become memories, and when that day comes, you will not wish you spent more time worrying about every possible problem. You will wish you felt more alive, more peaceful, more present, more connected to the people and moments that truly mattered. So stop mentally fighting life every second of the day. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Protect your peace. Enjoy simple moments while they still exist. Because life becomes beautiful the moment you stop overthinking every problem and finally allow yourself to truly live before time quietly slips away forever.